Someone called you Jersey Joe Rogan, bro.
Yeah, it happens.
Jersey Joe Rogan. We are now live. Hello, everyone. Hello, chat. Hello, panel. Welcome. I don't even. What episode is this? 47. Yep,
47.
We're on 47.
Yep.
Somehow, we have reached almost the 50 mark, and we are still this. So it's going well. We have things to talk about. Apparently, Arcane is happening. And Rachel Zegler is happening also, and Gladiator 2 has happened, and I'm
So is
reviewing
Wicked.
that, and that's also.
Yeah,
and
what are
Wicked,
we? What are we?
I don't give
all
a
that
fuck
for
about
either.
Wicked. Wicked is the thing I don't mind being shit because I don't care about it. But the
I don't
other
even know
three,
what that is.
Yeah, you guys got Gladiator before us in the States by 5 days or something like that, right?
Wait, is it not out there yet?
It's not out here yet. Nope.
Oh, that's weird. It's been
I know.
out here.
I thought
for-
that was odd.
It's
Yeah, like
you're
a-
missing absolutely nothing. Have you seen the first one?
When I was like
Years ago.
13.
I mean, do you remember basically how that film works?
Yeah.
Okay, because Gladiator 2 is just the same film, but worse. I mean, literally
Oh,
the same,
man.
the exact same
Mm.
movie.
That's all
But
they had.
there's one difference in one character, and that's the extent of it. But otherwise, yeah, we'll get there. We're fucking jumping into Gladiator. I don't even know what order
Okay.
we're. But does anyone have a preference as to the order we're doing this in? Because I'm not with it.
I don't know because Dark Hour may have made slides, and then we should follow Dark Hour
did.
slides that he put the effort into, you know.
I don't put the. I basically make the slides so that way we can use them in whatever order. So I don't really care which. But the first one is Arcane. So because that is the first thing. I usually go in the order as best I can to what you have on the.
Oh, like in the title.
Yeah, that's usually why I don't make the slides until after you make the title.
Do you want to piss
listen
people off
to
immediately?
listen to us just working shop here. Jesus Christ, working through everything at the beginning of the show. But yeah, we can talk about Arcane first. I get to exit out since I haven't watched it.
Is everybody else here seen it?
I'm all
I
caught up.
have not seen Act 2 of Season 2 yet. But
Do you
that's only
mind
'cause
spoilers?
I was, no, I don't care. I was away this weekend, so I didn't really get a chance to watch it.
I mean, what is the rule for spoilers on that? I mean, it's been out for what day are we in now? I don't even know what fucking day it is. Is it Monday today?
Well, it's only been
Monday.
out for 2 days, so this is what I would say. I would say that heavy spoilers Act 1, mild spoilers Act 2. That's the way I would go.
I'd say the people who are
Acts-
the people who are super invested in Arcane have probably already seen both acts, but it's probably good to like maybe at least put up a spoiler warning of some kind.
I have had a few people in chat say no spoilers for Act 2, so we will not do any spoilers for Act 2, except to say that if you were hoping it would get significantly better than Act 1, which I was, it looks like it does until your brain switches on, and then it really, really doesn't. It's
I was mildly entertained more by Act 2, but my realization that this is fucked happened in Act 2 overall. I was very disappointed after Act 1 in terms of I feel like they have already lost their opportunity to be great, and this is not on par with Season 1. I'm at the point now of, they fucked this up. I'm super disappointed.
I am getting a sense that they are trying to be more of a video game now than a show. It almost feels like they've created. Well, I'm saying like I understand that it's based on a video game already, but they've separated into the factions. They're having more of these quick battles with, like you said, like a music video, less character development.
It's the difference. Sorry, just the difference in their attention to detail and pacing. I watched the last 3 episodes because I didn't think it was fair to compare the first 3 episodes of Arcane to almost anything. So I watched the last 3 before starting this season 2, and my immediate reaction was like, why is this going rapid fire? Like, why are we rushing everything and just character introductions are being skipped? Character moments that should be super significant are just being pissed away, and there's payoffs that we've been waiting for that it's like they forgot. It's almost, I don't want to say it's made by different people, but it's made by a crew with different values. They aren't trying to create art anymore. This is entertainment to try to branch off and make other entertainment as fast as possible. It's the thing that happens to everything, sequelitis, as I like to call it. I didn't think it would happen to Arcane. I didn't think it happened to Arcane this quick. Like, what the fuck happened?
Well, my theory, and it's probably just a cope, is that it's Riot's fault, because I said this on the DSP stream last week. So Ryan canonized Arcane, and they brought it into official League of Legends canon, basically making it a prequel. Whereas previously it existed in its own continuity, and it could go off and do its own things and have a new spin on its characters. And now there are a huge number of requirements on it in order. And I predicted last week that we will not see a single champion or soon-to-be champion die. I'm sticking with that prediction. I don't think any of them will die. I think that what they've had to do is try and contrive themselves ways to bring people back together to face some external threat in order to justify nobody dying, and to set them up for a position when the game's canon and lore can sort of continue on. So it feels very much like it's just a very different story set of story priorities, different style of writing to those priorities. Where season 1 was all about using these new mechanics in the magic system to tell you things about character, and it was fundamentally a revolutionary story told through the proper place of drama being in characters, told through its characters. Season 2 is now at the point of just saying, well, let's teleport character A to here and then show this magic
wherever
thing.
we need them.
Like, all these characters just exist to show off whatever latest thing from the games they've brought in. And the most recent magical system happens to be, or fuck it, we've got the Arcane and we've got Shimmer. That's not enough. We have to have the Grey as well now, until we forget that that's a thing. We have to have fucking Caitlyn in. I hate this woman, by the way, and for some reason people didn't like it when I said that she was shit in season 1. She was the most shit relatively in season 1. Now she is just shit. The sheer number of bafflingly horrible decisions that she will then switch on a dime and forget about in the next episode. Like, she's basically gone and gassed the Undercity using the Grey. Vi, who is from the Undercity, doesn't have a problem with this because we're not doing characters in season 2. And then at some point midway through season 2, Caitlyn sort of flips, and then she goes and she's Ambessa's creature, and then she flips again and she's not that. Like, it's just maddening. Everything that was good about season 1 is missing from season 2. Everything.
Yeah. Oh, but just one thing on the Vi thing. I was on a podcast talking about this, and we in terms of the gas, we get confirmation that it's not lethal. And I think the only interpretation we can have is that we have to treat it like tear gas, because that's the only reason Vi wouldn't agree to anything lethal or anything more like that. And we do get a line from Vi saying that it was used to clear out the people. My problem is, instead of a stupid fucking music video, we should have got the scene to see them discussing it and actually get the debate and have a better understanding of what that scene was all about. That's what season 1 would have done. This season is all about just showing off the beautiful presentation and skipping things. And if you look at the music videos, they don't achieve enough in terms of character to justify how long they take. We're just the show's just missing scenes. It's just missing quality scenes of people sitting down and discussing things that need to be discussed. And you never had that issue in season 1 whatsoever. Every character was fleshed out. Everyone got their time.
I've always said if a director or... Go ahead, Kratosis. You haven't spoken yet. By the way, this is Kratosis. He hasn't been on the show before. I just want to introduce everyone.
Hello. What I wanted to say just quickly is, it feels like they're shoving 2 or 3 seasons worth of story into one season, and the skipping about and missing these vital scenes is really bugging me. And also just very important characters barely getting screen time, like Heimerdinger. It's like,
oh my god,
come on,
he's
man.
Obliterated. I think if you're gonna go through the characters, there's a lot, but off the top of my head, Heimerdinger is the one who's the most destroyed.
You don't like it's not even just ninja Heimerdinger. You don't like that?
Flanderized, but it's not just about him being turned into comedic value or just a comic relief. It's the fact that we don't even get to see his reaction to the council getting killed when he's probably known them for longer than anybody else there. And now is the time for him to come back and actually, not just to say, I fucking told you, motherfuckers, but to help the people that he act like he cares about Piltover. He would want to do something. Instead, he's fucking around being a clown, going through vents and shit. Why are we doing this to Heimerdinger?
Just trying to work out in the first arc of the season whether Heimerdinger even knew what had happened to the council, because it's barely even addressed. And then
it's crazy.
Yeah, and then he's turned into comic relief, and then he has disappeared along with a lot of other people.
Oh god, it's frustrating. And this part I would like to discuss to see if I'm missing something here. But the idea of the Arcane, whatever that is, being affected by the Hex tech is something that you would think he would reference in season 1 when he was trying to warn everybody about the dangers of magic. If this is something that could be affected by this technology, you would think he'd at least be aware of that in theory. Even this is something that he would be able to theorize and bring to the table. But it makes him a dumbass in season 1 and a clown in season 2 for someone who's barely got any screen time. And it just pisses me off because I really like one of the most effective scenes in season 1 was Heimerdinger getting kicked off the council. Everything just came together so perfect in that moment. And I was ready for his redemption story and like him to really learn from his mistakes and how out of touch he was. Now, no time for that. He's a clown. We got to rush this shit. And that's one. I didn't even care about Heimerdinger. He's not like at the top of my list. But this is the damage we're talking about. These little details. And if I've seen season 1 at least like 5-6 times. I've taken it in through podcasts, and it's I just can't believe that they dropped the ball this hard. Pretty much.
Here's the big difference. Season 1 gets better, in my opinion, the more times you watch it and the more you spend thinking about it. It just improves. There are so many little subtleties and nuances that you don't pick up even on like the first few watches. Every time you see it, something new comes along, and it's even better and deeper than you thought it was.
100%.
Season 2 is exactly the opposite dynamic. You watch it the first time and you think, it's not really landing for me, but I mean, I guess it's okay. And then you think about it for 5 seconds, and then you start thinking, well, hang on a minute. Like, I thought the entirety of season 1 very clearly established these characters in this particular way. And here they seem to be flipping around like they have no backstory to speak of. Like, Caitlyn can be anyone she wants to be from episode to episode. A slag as well, as it turns out, because, the fact that she just wakes up with some random other person in her bed the day after kicking Vi out of the bed is not a great advert for lesbianism, I will say. But, there we are. It's just, there's so many things like that. It's just, it does not stand up to scrutiny. It barely holds up, I think, just if you're second monitoring it. You can look across, and that was my impression of the second act, was minor improvement, but that was because I wasn't really paying that much attention. And it leans so heavily into things that it doesn't try to make sense of yet. Like all the stuff with the Arcane, all the stuff about where the characters who disappeared went to and what they saw there and what's changed about them when they come back. Why Jace does what he does without spoilers. Massively important stuff. But the reason that doesn't immediately stand out as being bad in the way that the first act does is because it's storing that explanation up for later. It doesn't tell you what's happened yet. It just looks pretty and it looks mysterious.
There's still potential.
So it's I mean, they could put it back. They won't. But then again, like as soon as you stop being distracted by how pretty the magic stuff is and how like beguilingly nonsensical it all is and answering all the questions in your own head, then you focus on what it does actually give you in terms of characters, actions, reactions, motivations, and it's
it's frustrating, man. And like Dark Hour made 2 points when we were offline. One, completely agree with. The other, I don't agree with. And the first is that
I'm fine with that, by the way.
No, I think this discussion is important. We should bring this back. The first is so important because I think me and so many other people are probably making this mistake. Giving season 2 potentially, even like I said, I enjoyed the second arc a little bit more. Season 2 credit for things that season 1 achieved, and it doesn't even really deserve, and it hasn't really earned. If I watched, this is the first time I ever saw Arcane, I wouldn't be very impressed. But the other thing was that the characters in season 1 weren't designed to be liked, and I disagree with that because I feel like even from the bad guys to the people who made to the flawed characters like Victor, I feel like everyone had something that was like endearing about them. You don't have that in season 2. The only thing I have in season 2 is what I liked about season 1. It hasn't really. I can't believe they've lost sight of what they had with Arcane. They had something special, and they've turned it into something basic so quickly that I'm just like shocked.
It was one of the points I tried to make last week when I think people were more hostile to any suggestion that this was not a very good season. I tried to say, well, if you were coming at this and you'd never seen season 1 and episode 1 of season 2 was your first introduction to the season, what would you be taking away from that? Like how much of the work is being done by this season and how much of it is you remembering all of the good stuff that season 1 accomplished? Exactly. I would say basically all the good things that are brought into season 2 is just lingering happy memories of season 1. And the biggest damage season 2 does is contradicting all of the good stuff that season 1 established. On its own terms, this is not a good season at all, but it actually becomes worse the longer you think about the way that it tramples all over what was accomplished beforehand.
Every episode's a 9+ on IMDb, so it's good. So okay.
Yeah, I can't speak on Act 2 yet. Like I said, I was away this weekend, so I really didn't get a chance to watch it. But structurally, like everything you're saying, Jedi Brooks, is true. They're speeding through things, and there's what was it? I think it was episode 3. They basically speed run everything that their crew is doing at the beginning of the episode. All these things that could have been hammered out over the course of time.
That was what I was mentioning before with the gas. Sorry.
Yeah, it was there. I mean, there's other times that do it as well for other characters, but that was probably the most egregious problem of all of them. And anytime a director, producer, writer, whoever has to come out and explain something that was in the episode, that should have been in the episode, that's never a good sign.
Yeah.
A director or a writer should never have to tell you, oh, this character this was their motivation, or this particular device was like this plot device was supposed to do this, and this is how it worked. It has to be explained in the narrative. And it seems like they're already doing that pretty hard, and they haven't even hit Act 3 yet. Which does not bode well for going forward, because it means that they're probably, like you said, going to use this more as an advertisement going forward.
Yeah, and they have said that they want to come and, the reason there's only 2 seasons is they want to start doing lots of other League of Legends inspired shows and things like that. So I think a lot of this is being turned into marketing stuff, which might actually leave us with a relatively open-ended conclusion to the season, even like with, again, most people still alive. There's a chance they can pop up elsewhere. They'll be able to do things like that, which is just soulless and horrible. And I am seeing a few people in chat saying that we're being overly harsh, and though it's not as good as season 1, it's still great. I am sorry. I love you, but I think you are coping. If you were not so big a fan of Arcane season 1, I don't think you would be as defensive of season 2. I understand the temptation, because that was my first response. I was trying to be more charitable to the first act of season 2 than I really should have been, because of season 1. I really wanted this to be good.
It's gone from... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, all the problems that came out, and I think I was sitting there thinking, well, look, if this were a Marvel TV show, I would be absolutely slating this. But somewhere in the back of my mind was, no, it's Arcane. I know these writers are good. I'm sure they'll find some way of making it make sense in the end. We haven't got to the end yet. Maybe they will, but they've already done so many self-contained things which are just unfixable at this point. It's not good at all.
Yeah. Is it the same writer?
Like I was saying, yeah, it is, but it's
in some
same writers with different perspective on what they have. Like they have different goals, and like I was saying on Metal's Forge is season 1 is art, season 2 is entertainment, and it's entertainment used to just build to other more entertainment. We've seen that with Mando season 2. Mando's whole story got fucked because we have to set up Ahsoka and Boba Fett and all this other bullshit. And I know that's harsh, but really think about it. Look at what Arcane season 2 is doing. It's not prioritizing the stories that were well constructed in season 1. It's rushing through them so we can set up all this other shit. And that's not what I'm here for.
It sequelitis. It's even worse than that. It's shared universe syndrome. It's everybody wants, and this isn't the first thing that we've seen do something like that. I don't know if it's even as egregious as some of the others that we've seen, but almost everybody wants to have this shared universe where they can just build and continue and go out.
The multiverse of madness. That's pretty.
Yeah, well, Marvel pioneered it. I mean, they weren't the first ones to ever try that, but they did it. They really did it the best. And then DC historically flopped.
They even had the Mummy. They tried to do it with evil.
Yeah, that was the next one. I was gonna say the Dark Universe flopped. They've been doing that thing with the MonsterVerse, and everybody's trying to do it. And now this
Conjuring made some money. They were the best copycats out of all of them. I
mean, some of them have been more successful than others, but this is the next one, and I'm not shocked by that at all.
Well, just that concept is just something that happens to everything, sequelitis. But like, it's something that happens with like we always talk about. There's only 2 good Terminator movies, only two good Alien movies. And you just do the thing where you ignore the rest because sequelitis is sequelitis. Was not expecting this for Arcane because, like Platoon said, when they announced there's a second season, I'm like, good. That means they have a story, they're sticking to it, and they're gonna fuck it. They're not fucking around and gonna stretch this out. That was literally my mind state going through it. I trusted that got me excited. And now we find out, no, they're only making a second season because they want to get the fuck out of here and they can make more money in other shows. They don't care about this anymore. They care about the brand, not the story. Like, I'm here for the storytelling. That's what keeps us coming back over and over again.
I like this quote here, that that shared universes to the movie and TV industry with live services to the game industry. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a way to increase your revenue with doing minimal work. Kind of you kind of do the same thing over and over again with just slight patches.
I think Jim just nailed it in the chat. I'm gonna stop saying Mandel season 2 so people don't like come for me in my head. I'm gonna say Age of Ultron. I guess a better example of what's been happening now. You know, like
it could be more controversial. I did compare it to Game of Thrones season 8.
Oh, you're a madman! So you're trying to get killed. You're trying to get assassinated over there.
It's too early to definitively say that. I will row back to that extent. There's still a chance that it will be redeemed from that status, but it was because obviously Cynic hasn't seen it. And so that the comparison was, having seen season 1 and now having seen where season 2 is almost certainly going, would you recommend it to someone knowing what the end is? And I'm way too close to the season 8 problem than I am comfortable being at the moment.
You get too many good completed arcs in season 1. That's like saying fuck Hot D season 1, even though Viserys is perfection in the like. I'm not at that point whatsoever. You're talking about season 8 of Game of Thrones is like one of the worst pieces of media on planet Earth.
Yeah. So also, Arcane hasn't strung you along for basically a decade of story only to ruin it. So there is that. I suppose. But if we now, I just think it's far closer to that than I would really, really want it to be. But it honestly, it is really basic stuff. And it's hard to go into too many details as to why without going into spoilers for Act 2, which I know that we're not doing. So there's a degree of source, trust me, bro, involved in this. I probably am going to end up doing a video on it, though. So that will lay some of it out. I know EFAP went through the first 3 at length, and we'll be doing more of that on Saturday with, I think, pretty much the same takeaway. Honestly, as soon as you take the Arcane goggles off and you just watch this and criticize it, and watch it as critically as you watch any other show, it doesn't hold up. It just without spoilers, I hope anyway. Taking what you know from Arcane season 1 and everything they do with the characters of Vi and Jinx, and then even taking what you get of Caitlyn in the beginning of season 2. She even has the scene where she sits down by the fountain and she says, because we don't really know who Caitlyn is because she wasn't a very she was the least fleshed out character in season 1, and they have to fast track her to be incredibly important in season 2. So she has the scene where she sits down and she says, I see 3 faces swimming in front of me. I see my mother. Here's what I think about her. I see Vi. Here's what I think about her. I see Jinx, and she's smiling, and I want to tear that smile off her face, etc. She has that statement. So you would think, if hypothetically at some point in Act 2 those 2 characters got together, you'd think something might have come of that, and that Caitlyn, who also has to ditch Vi at some point, wouldn't then just turn up one episode and say, actually, I'm kind of fine with both of you. And the same thing happens, like Vi and Jinx with all of the character drama. Vi thinks that Jinx has basically killed her sister. It's the Anakin Darth Vader thing. She doesn't think it's her sister anymore. It would have to be an incredibly dramatically satisfying moment. Just seeing them in the same room again, not fighting each other, would be incredibly important. Nope. The fact that these characters can just switch motivations every half an hour without any accounting for that it's baffling. I don't understand. I think it might be the fact that only some of the writers from season 1 did some of the episodes for season 2. So like the first act, I think, was done by other people, and then bits of Act 2 were done by the original writers, which is why it feels different. But it's a disconnected, disjointed mess, frankly.
Yeah, and the big thing is it's not just minor character payoffs. It's some of the most massive things, like you just described with Caitlyn. Like, try not to get too much into the spoilers, but one of the best payoffs in season 1 for me was Vi and Echo's reunion, because she grew up. Echo is the last of Vi's childhood friend from one of the most important areas of her life, and when she gave him that hug, he immediately turned into a little boy again and drops the tear and everything. Like, their relationship should have a lot of meaning to it. He should be like the second most important person to her. And she hasn't seen him since the explosion on the bridge. She gets an opportunity to ask what happened to Echo, and she doesn't give a fuck. Echo who? It's like they completely forgot that this should be one of the most important people in her life, and they've completely forgot about that relationship. If they could drop the ball on something like that, you fucked everything. You don't care about this show anymore. There's no. I don't care how entertaining it was for certain aspects. I don't care how cool Warwick's music is. None of those things mean anything to me when you show me that you don't even care about those tiny little details. And
and also like I was told, I distinctly remember being told, or people suggesting and hearing people say of the 3 new enforcer characters who were introduced in Act 1, whom we knew nothing about at the end of Act 1. Don't worry, by the end of Act 2, they'll have character. Fucking no. I still don't know who they are. The only thing I know is that one of them is a lesbian now, apparently.
Out of nowhere.
That's the only development out of nowhere, which means that when again, talking about fucking dumbass Marvel level writing, when Caitlin summons her crack team of the drunk, her girlfriend, and 2 children, it actually turns out it's a drunk, her girlfriend, her future girlfriend, and a child. It's like that fucking lame-ass Avengers moment of characters we don't understand and don't know anything about, which made it so convenient because you can just compare that to the way characters are introduced in Act 1 at Season 1. They have character in Season 1. They don't in Season 2. And we get to the end of the second act knowing nothing more about any of them. And it's a bit late. I honestly think they are only there because they can't kill off the main characters. So they're just introducing these cannon fodder characters. The most obvious one is the young child, right? It's an easy way into people's feels. But an innocent, cute child. Yeah, Grogu,
Baby
basically.
Jinx,
Arcane Grogu.
That's what it is. Let's make sure that's clear.
All you do, that's what you do. If you know you can't kill off your actual main cast, you can't make any serious decisions because you've been told you're not allowed to, you introduce cannon fodder characters. And if you do a good job, you give them characters so you care about them dying, like the kids in Act 1 of Season 1. But if you're not very good at your job, you don't do that. And that's what they've done. The closest thing you get is the kid who doesn't have a character really because doesn't speak. Just idolizes Jinx vaguely and looks cute. And so, of course, you care if that character gets put in danger. But that's just an emotional cheat code. That is not clever writing.
It's waste. It's a waste of space. And you compare that to Season 1, where within the very first fight scene, it's not just as well choreographed. You get all 4 of their characters. You get Vi, Jinx, Clagger. You have a full understanding of who they are and what they stand for, and they do it within a fight scene, just from the slow motion, and you get to have an idea of the decisions that they make, from Powder running away. You don't get any of that in Season 2 with the Enforcer and a big fake Braun and Hattie, I think is her name. It's just like you shove them in, and then you have the most poorly timed time skip ever, where we have so many questions that need to be fleshed out here, and then now we have to fucking deal with this. It's such a strange transition when you compare it to Season 1, where we had everything in place before the time skip, so we know exactly what is going to pay off. Like, we knew what to expect and where things should even, like, where people should be. Where with this one, I'm like, where the fuck is everyone? I was trying to spend half the episode trying to remember where Vi should be, like, context-wise, based on all this. And it's just bizarre choice after bizarre choice. And the biggest thing is just the fact that it's rushed. Like, all the problems that we're mentioning stems from the fact that they're rushing this. And it's kind of like, I've kind of lost all hope at this point. And it's like you said, it's Arcane Season 1. That glimmer is just like the only reason we're having any faith for this to come to tie this together in any reasonable way. And I just don't think they can do it at this point.
Yeah, I'm at the same point where I don't see how they can tie this up in the last 3 episodes. All the plot lines we've got going, the characters, I don't know how they concluded in a satisfying way without rushing it or doing something contrived and awful.
No one is rushing anything. What the fuck is he talking about? I don't know, man. Vi and Jinx's reunion is like, that's like Obi-Wan and Vader meeting up again. And what we got was pretty much as stupid as the Kenobi show's reunion with that, in terms of just like, skip all that.
I was just about to ask Platoon to do his most famous line that he likes to make fun of at this point.
It's not even, it's just, at least they didn't do that, right? I mean, they didn't do the "have you come here to destroy me?" Fucking, it wasn't that far removed, to be fair, but they didn't go quite that bad. It's just you wonder whether or not they originally did have plans for more seasons and were told that they had to condense all of it into 2. You wonder whether, they had plans for a different final season and they were told to change them because of the whole canonicity question. There are all these things that come up because it came up earlier, the question of like the musical montages and the music video style of these things. And you can condense a huge amount of time into montages, but it's weird the way that Arcane Season 2 somehow manages to make music video montages less efficient than standard dialogue scenes. The whole point of a montage is that you're supposed to be able to be more efficient in your depiction of time elapsing and gain more information than you could in an actual exchange. But there are so many of these that just don't add enough to be worth that time. I would almost have actually preferred it if they'd swapped the standard intro with Imagine Dragons constantly playing the same fucking 2 chords over and over again, like the hacks that they are, and instead turned the opening music videos into the intros for the episode. Then you could have saved yourself a good couple of minutes each time and had more dialogue scenes instead. Just have every opening music video end with the Arcane title slate, and then you move on and you start writing shows properly again. But no.
Yeah, someone brought that up, and I thought that would fix all the problems. Instead of having to sit through that intro over and over and over again, like actually give us something worthwhile. And if you compare, like you said, with season 1, the Echo Jinx scene is, for people who don't understand how brilliant that is, Echo and Jinx both pretty much looked up to Vi. And we never got any other scene with them before that, but we know their history, that they must have been friends. They had to have had a relationship together. So we get the entire flashback of a game that they used to play and like the dynamic that they had as kids, and we can completely believe that. And then we get the hard cut backwards rewind to the harsh reality of their lives now, where he's punching her in the face and she's trying to blow him up. And the reason that's so brilliant is because it works by itself, just by watching it and having an understanding of what they're trying to portray, their childhood, and then the rewind. But it works for people who have played the game as well, because that's Echo's ultimate. That's literally what he does. He'll be able to rewind to wherever he was like 5 seconds ago to be able to reset. So you're getting a representation of his ultimate from the game for a device he hasn't even made yet in a fucking scene that's this fantastic. So you get that much out of the music videos. Season 2, I'm like rolling my eyes over most of them, where it's just like kind of a waste of time, where I would have much rather have a scene to explain these things. They're not efficient with their music videos. They're there to show off, and that's the vibe that's pissing me off.
Yeah, there's at the start of episode 2, I think it was, they have one of those music videos to show that the underground is devolving into like power struggle because Silco's gone. It's like that's something you could have gotten out of the way in 1 or 2 lines, and maybe a very quick like scene of people fighting.
Yeah. Most of them are a waste of time. There's to describe the only one I really liked was what did you think of the Vi one, Platoon? Kind of summarizing what she's been doing in the mid, because I was asking where the fuck is Vi, and I'm like, oh, okay, this music video kind of helps.
I'm trying to remember which one that is now.
Oil slick, crazy, drunken, mad woman boxer Vi. Vi losing the breakup, pretty much, as Goger put it, or whoever said that yesterday.
Yeah, I think I'd have to rewatch that one. It shows that she's been doing something, right? And that something is nothing. It shows that she's really upset because we couldn't have had that in a line of dialogue. It had to have its whole music video. There might be some extra storytelling in there that I've missed because I've only seen that bit once, and I do need to rewatch that in particular. But I think that has roughly the same problems as most of the other music videos does. In fact, it probably conveys less than a lot of the other music videos do. There's only one thing it really has to tell. Hey, at least we get to see the drunk enforcer guy being supportive. That's characterization, I suppose. And then she changes her hair, and then it's great. I'm so happy to have seen this, but it looks good. We can say that. Let's be nice about the show. It still looks really good. Animation is for the most part top notch. Very stylish. It's forgotten how to make its style aid its story, which I think season 1 did a very good job of.
That's all they were prioritizing, the visuals. And like, I know people are thinking we're being super harsh on it, but like, look at what they achieved in season 1. We should be ripping this apart. Like, this is, it's not the same thing. And the fact that they're trying to push it as the same thing is really the amount of people who are ignoring like, I got a text even before this podcast saying, oh man, Arcane's fantastic, really solid show. And I'm just like, I haven't responded yet. I'm not sure what I'm gonna say. Because it's awkward when you're dealing with something that people, but like me and Dark Hour, I was about to call you Darkness. Dark Hour talking about
Darkness.
is when you're talking about something that people love, it's hard for them to be reasonable about it in terms of discussion. So it's all about the approach,
Yeah, that's what I was saying backstage, that saying something's decent or like kind of good is in some ways, sometimes people will take that as even worse than if you said it was shit. It's really weird. And I've noticed this: if you say something's mid, it's the worst thing, because then you get people attack like on both sides of the spectrum trying to convince you rather than just one side. So you have people trying to tell you it sucks and people trying to tell you it's good, and you're just like, no, I don't want to have any of this conversation. But one thing, so having been a person who caught up later on Arcane, I've already admitted that I probably was holding it higher than I should have, and but the one thing I noticed as I was watching the first season, especially, is that they probably could have dragged some of that out a little bit more and made it even more detailed than they did. Like Act 1 probably could have actually been the whole first season. Like there was a lot that they could have, some aspects they could have taken from Act 2 and 3, kind of purported exactly what you were just saying about Echo, could have been a little bit more involved in Act 1, or at minimum maybe made that just Act 1 and 2 and made it drag out a little bit longer. And I do feel that that's the opposite problem that this second season has, that they are just flying through things. So it's a weird to have that feeling as I'm going along. I'm like, the first season I felt was going too fast in the way that they had more that they could have done. This season is going too fast in the way that they just don't care about doing anything more. It's the same problem I'm seeing, but with two very different outcomes and two very different reasonings. Yeah. That's all I have on
that. They're gonna continue. Well, yeah, it just depends on. You're definitely not gonna have the same goggles as a lot of people watching this. Like you weren't really invested in the first season, so you can see the flaws much more clearly. But at the same time, you're not going to see the
close to is also one of the reasons why it might not be having the same effect, because I didn't have that Act 1 ends, I have to wait a week, Act 2, I just went bang right through it, which I think kind of kills when you have a show that's split into acts and stuff like that, or like segments. It does kill it a little bit if you watch it fast through the first time.
I really prefer once a week, man. Being able to absorb it, discuss it, like talking about 3 episodes at a time, you're guaranteed to miss something. Like there's so much more we can break down in terms of the details, It's fun in terms of watching, but 3 at a time is not too bad pacing wise, but it makes it really difficult to remember all the fucking details. But that's why like these things that stand out so harshly to us, we have to make sure we address, even if it's like semi-spoilerish. Because like back to season 1, it's like a spit it spits in the face of their standards there. And it's becoming more clear after every single episode. Like you said, the thing with Jace, that's something that you have to fucking fundamentally explain. Like if you remember how this season begins and then how episode 6 ends, you can't just skip over that. And based on the standards of this season, I don't have a lot of faith that they're gonna fucking do too much. But it's the thing visually that I hope they do something with. Like what I'm talking about, Platoon, like everything with Jace. Like I like that visual of please give me a cool answer to that and make sure it makes sense. But
my God, does it have to make a huge amount of sense given what he chooses to do? But I just can't wait though for the death that we can't name for spoiler reasons. But I will put money on that being reversed. He's not dead. No one's dead. No one will die at all.
I will rip all my dreads off and throw them at the screen if they kill that particular dread. Because he was like he's one of the main reasons I was excited for season 2. Like no matter what happens, they're gonna nail this part, and like it brings an element to the show that really endeared me in season 1. Being able to combine, the story about this little fucking innocent child with all these dark sci-fi elements. I love it, and they've just lost that. Fuck.
But hey, all the people who's told me that Act 1 would be made better by Act 2 can now start telling me that Act 1 and 2 can be made better by Act 3, and I'm sure they'll be right this time. But it is the last chance they have, so good fucking luck. I really hope they do. Right? The reason I'm quite annoyed by this is that I really, really, really do like the first season. It always hits a little bit harder when something that was really good ends up being really shit through incompetence. And I was quite late to the first season because I think I watched the first 3 episodes when it first came out, and then I went through this incredibly busy phase, so I couldn't continue it. And then I finally watched the rest of Arcane season 1, basically this time last year. It was December, because I was wrapping Christmas presents and had this really, really, really lovely evening of it where I put it on to binge with the expectation it would be quite good and I can just, wrap presents while I was doing it. And by the end of it, I just fucking stopped wrapping completely. I was just sat on the floor watching the show. Had a nice little perfect combination of Christmas good feelings and really, really good show. And my legs fucking hurted because I was on the floor trying to wrap presents, which I hate doing. And it made it a really nice, pleasant experience all around. and now it's Arcane season 2, and it's all falling apart, all of it.
Yeah.
Not good.
Everyone has their different stories for why they have like attachment to it, and like mine was like I'm the only one in the panel who played the game, and I played it for years. Like I was fucking hooked on that game, and so invested in all the characters. And I was saying like I can't believe they found a way to pull off a show with like literally a roster of characters that I fucking can't stand. I don't like any of them, but you managed through the power of writing to make this story that's so grounded and so compelling. And to watch all that, I just had so much respect for what they did as an adaptation, taking something that I just play for fun and really creating a piece of art with it. And I can't believe they forgot that quick. That's what just annoys me the most. Like I'm not bored watching season 2. I'm just disappointed. Like, nah, man, you had something here, and it's just I don't even know what the best way to describe it is, but yeah. Utter disappointment.
It's weird because I almost feel like this is the one time I can ever say that I would have loved to see them add some politics to something, because I feel like that was just done so quickly.
Yeah.
The council scenes. We're missing scenes.
The way that season 1 ended would not be so easily determined. It wouldn't just be like, oh well, this is what I want to do and this is what you want to do, so let's just there would be a lot more to it. I do like the fact that they were forming into factions. It just happened way too fast.
It did. And to be fair, I always thought the season 1 council scenes were some of the like weaker scenes in season 1 for the lack of a politics behind it. Like they wanted, I think, the aesthetic of politics, and they wanted the impression of factions forming, and they did achieve both of those things. But like it doesn't, the number of times that the politicians sort of come in with one motive, and then because it's convenient to another scene, they change their minds completely, or they forget what they were doing before. Yes, of course, someone's about to tell me that politicians do this in real life all the time. It's not quite the same thing. You can have like badly written politics, and you can have just politicians being shit. I don't think they were particularly well written, but that does pay forward to one of the problems with the beginning of Act 1 Season 2, which is that you don't really know what any of these mechanics are. You don't even really know how the council operates and who's still on the council. Is Jace not still supposed to be a councillor? Are they allowed to make decisions without him? Well, we assume that they are. Does nobody ask any questions about Ambessa being there? Is there no system of like a quorum that has to be? Do you have to have a minimum number of councillors? Should you really? Does no one ask any questions about why Ambessa's just turned up and is starting to obviously manipulate Sallow? By the way, where the fuck did he come from? Has no one asks basic level questions to establish the actual faction mechanics in the show. It's just, we need to give the impression there are factions, so we've done that, and that's all we need to do. It's not that satisfying.
Yeah, they hinted in season 1 about a lot more of the like backdoor dealings. You don't really get to see, you'll see a little bit of it, but you don't get to see too much. And I think that would have been really interesting to explore for the beginning of this season, because there would be now some power voids. Some of the the council members have died, so there could have been some politicking and like trying to get people onto the council that were more pro-war or pro, I guess it's not really a war anymore, it's more like pro hunting, I don't know, the assassination, I don't know, and then other ones that are still more diplomatic. And it's just weird that I never thought I'd say, having been a person who's always said that my least favorite, up until Disney bought it, but my least favorite Star Wars was always Phantom Menace, because there was too much going on with the Senate. I would like to see more Senate in this. I just think that would have added layers and dimensions to what was going on with the factioning.
Yeah, that's like I was mentioning that we got basic politics in season 1, but it was good enough to get an understanding of the things that we really need. Now we have nothing at a time where we need more information than ever, which is so frustrating. Because Heimerdinger, like I said, not getting his reaction to potentially his friends for decades getting killed on the council and all the chaos there, and Ambessa suddenly just being like the overlord of Piltover when she's fucking Noxian. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, she's not even from there.
There's Piltover's on Noxian, Ionia.
Doesn't even go here. Why are we listening to her? She doesn't go here.
Yeah, it's if she's taken over, show me that. Like, if it was like a big setup, or like this is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could have been that they could have used that as a way of, we don't, there's nobody that's qualified to make decisions here. We need to make some emergency appointments to the council. Why don't we bring her on? She has experience in this kind of field. And then she slowly but surely, carves out more power, instead of it just being within an episode. It's like, it was very much, they died. I'm in charge now. Look at me. I'm captain now. Like, that was basically it. That's what she did.
Yeah, it's one of the things that struck me on my rewatch today is episode 3. She's doing her big speech and she's talking about, oh, until our families are safe. It's like, bitch, you're not even from here.
I know. We're just skipping over that. We need season 1 would have that addressed of like some conversations on the side and whatnot. And like, I don't know what they're doing with all those dynamics now. They've just forgotten everything. Too busy with music videos. That's their priority. It's just
music videos and lesbianism. That's the way to go.
And yeah, like the random elevation of Caitlyn's character to a position of authority and power that she just doesn't deserve. And I think that's one of the big reasons for this massive inefficiency they have. That picking the wrong character to make important. Like, the efficient way into roughly the story they're trying to tell is that Jinx, shoots the rocket, hits the council. I would have preferred it if a main character had died, but if we're not allowed to have that happen, at least have Mel be like severely injured. And then you've got the opportunity for Ambessa to manipulate Jace into using Hex Tech to protect the person that he's in a kind of relationship with. And then you've got already within the space of like the first third of episode 1, you have the entire mechanical system set up that it's taken 2 acts to set up, where you've got the dilemma of the use of Hex Tech, you've got an actual reason for Jace to change his mind about using it, you've got Ambessa being principally involved in the militarization of the technology, and you've got a character who had substantially more development than Caitlyn front and center. And if he does want to become a villain toward the end, which they might try and make him, who knows, then he's in a position to become that. Just pick the right characters to tell your stories with. This season 1 did that very well. It's not that hard to do. I just don't understand the elevation of Caitlyn at all. The more I watch her, the more I despise her. I didn't like her in season 1 because she just wasn't as developed as everybody else. She came in late. She was a bit like Winston from Ghostbusters in the sense of turning up late and not having a huge amount to do compared to the rest. But by season 2, then no, she's the most important person until she's not again, because they seem to run out of places to take that storyline.
They're pinballing her completely. You're so right on all that. It really would help if we can talk about the second act as well, because everything that they developed with Caitlyn just gets fucking scrambled, and you don't even know what the fuck their fucking idea is now. And the scene with Hattie, her girlfriend now, part of the reason that pissed me off is not just the fact that it wasn't well set up, but her whole relationship with Vi. I disagree, by the way. I don't think Caitlyn is as badly constructed in season 1 as you did. I think she's one of the least interesting, but the most interesting thing about her was her relationship with Vi. I think that was really, really strong. And I think they built up to their first kiss fantastically, to where, like, when I was watching with my friend, it was like, oh shit, they haven't even kissed yet. This is actually a moment. 2 seconds later, they're rushing to her being upset about something that she should totally understand based on the context, striking Vi in a way that's completely out of her character. And then let's cut to a time skip where she's fucking this kid who I thought was like, just her coworker, and there's no development for it. And I just hate lesbians. No, I hate crappy lesbians, crappy ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If there's anybody on this panel who is distinctly qualified to say that I hate lesbians, it's probably me, because I was the only person I think that went through both of the lesbian witch shows.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're fucked, man. You watched both? That took me a second because I was like, wait, I did. I'm like, no, I watched.
I think I was the only one who went through both as of right now.
I was sat there wondering where that sentence was going to. I'm the only one who had my girlfriend stolen by a lesbian, but no, it turned out Agatha and what the fuck, the Acolyte. Those are the two, right?
Acolyte.
I have seen both of them. I did see all of Agatha, but it was so powerfully boring that I forgot every single thing about it 5 minutes after it happened. So I salute your strength and your indefatigability. Well done for putting up with the lesbians for however many hours that was.
It was quite a few.
One of the few things that just hard skip. It doesn't exist to me. You don't deserve to even have a show. Get out of here. If it's a Penguin situation where it's a random spinoff that turns out to be brilliant, sure. But Agatha, no. I would need like 17 recommendations, and I got 0. So
I'm gonna start sending you random recommendations from accounts that I'm just gonna make. They're gonna be just burner accounts. I'm just like, hey, Jim, you should watch this.
Did you guys finish Penguin? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, after you.
Did you guys watch or finish Penguin? If you did.
No, I've yet to. I still have to catch up on that. I'm still in the process of catching up on the better stuff.
The Hype Trio show of the year. It topped Shogun for me in terms of the best show of the year. Unbelievable performances, unbelievably dark in terms of some of the payoffs, and I can't believe they committed to the things they're willing to commit to with this show. It's fucking fantastic. It's as good as everyone's saying. It's not something like we were talking about things being overhyped and whatnot. It deserves all the credit it's getting right now. It really, really is super well written. Like, it's just I wasn't expecting that in any way, shape, or form. I figured it'd be good performances based on what I saw in the Batman, but it elevates the Batman and it makes you want to rewatch it and take it more seriously. It's significantly better than the Batman 2, in my opinion. I'm looking at you, Cynic.
Hey, that's okay.
Cynic squares
It's
up
in the
with
same
people who
universe.
aren't.
It's all good.
No, I'm not dissing it. I'm saying I think you would like it because I know you're a big fan of that movie.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Cynic's just wrapping his hands. He's just like, okay, let's go.
It makes the third act make more sense. It justifies
or the fourth act. Do you mean
the 17th one, basically?
Yeah.
that movie. I watched that too the other day. It's so fucking
So,
long, but this movie,
I'm gonna
this show
just
makes
pop
that
this,
movie better. Basically,
I'll pop up a couple supers that are related to Arcane
Yes.
while we're at it. This one just popped
That's
up
it.
and it's related to both. So
yeah. Colin Farrell in a fat suit is somehow way
Yeah.
more compelling than Arcane's beautiful fucking visuals. I don't know how it happened.
Cynic, do you want to read them? Platoon? How do you want this?
Seki jokes 451 for $2 fake. It is funny how the Penguin stole Arcane's mantle
Of being, I guess, the best show of the year.
the best show. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
let me see what else.
the
we got
show
here.
everyone talks about.
I still have all of the Penguin to watch, so I'm happy because that means there is something guaranteed to be good that I can look
Yes,
forward to
indeed.
after finishing Arcane.
Same.
Seki jokes 451 again for 5 more fake monies. Acts 1 and 2 should have either been twice as long or their own seasons if they wanted to give us Punished Caitlyn in 2018 Kratos Jinx. This is sad.
That kind of goes off of what I was saying, that I feel like they could have taken actually both seasons and probably drew this out to that 5 seasons they were talking about. I feel like there's a lot to unpack that they just either wanted to get past or in this case wanted to not even worry about. Like they just, I don't know.
Yeah, if Agatha can get a fucking spin-off, like where's the Victor spin-off or the Singe spin-off? You know what I mean? There's so many compelling characters that could have carried their own show, and they're just being lost in season 2 because we have other things to fuck around with.
JMac for 20 real bucks. Is the Arcane season 2 drop off our price for the Penguin being good? Is there some cosmic force out there destroying good writing? Why can't we just have nice things?
It's the rule of the universe is you can only have one good show every year, which if that is how this works, that's not encouraging because there's also Silo season 2, which has just kicked off, which I'm hoping will be good. And June Prophecy, which has also just kicked off, which I'm hoping will be good.
This is the worst.
But if we're only allowed one good, yeah, it really is. It's so much to do. I don't have time. But if we're only allowed one good show and it's the Penguin, then that's not good because that means that
Did you like Shogun?
Shogun, did I even finish Shogun? I remember watching a bit of it at least and really liking it, but I think it was one of those ones that I ran out of time to finish, so I need to go back and see the rest.
It's worth checking out again. Some people had some criticism towards the end. I think it got better as it went along. Like the second part was much better than the first. It got some payoffs that I didn't think it was capable of. It got payoffs and it got me to care about things I really didn't think it had the talent to get me to care about. But like it actually was pretty good. Second to the Penguin though. Mr.
Gogger for 200. I forget what these are every time.
That's Swedish krona.
Swedish
Right.
krona.
You're right.
Oh, that's what that accent is. Okay.
Question for the panel. Do you think is it Vi? I don't know. I haven't
Yes.
seen the
Yeah,
show.
Vi.
Is Vi and
Vi
Kate
and
told people who killed Silco because everyone acts like they know he is dead, but not who killed him, which is absolutely insane when you think about it and very convenient.
It doesn't seem like they did, and
it doesn't seem like they did. Yeah,
and we find out in episode 2 or 3 that Smeech doesn't know, because when Jinx reveals that she killed him, he's like shocked by that.
And it's again, that's something Caitlyn should use to her leverage. Like if that's information, she would say immediately. She would say that like before she even stepped in the front door. Like that's critical information. I don't understand.
That is a bit of it. So wait, does Savika know that Jinx killed Silco?
I don't think so.
Oh my fucking god! The fact that we're even asking these questions is like what's frustrating about this. What the hell? You're right.
I just watched the whole season 2 today again, and I didn't catch any references to her explicitly being aware.
Oh man, they
Because
do have a really...
that's insane, especially given that Savika's first introduction is, sitting opposite Silco's chair saying, even after you're dead, I'm still picking up the pieces. And then Jinx is the first character she's introduced to. And they become a kind of buddy cop dynamic after that. So, surely that has to be addressed in Act 3, right?
No, it's addressed in a music video, guys.
No.
They actually had a really good scene together because, for better or worse, they were both kind of like sisters. They looked up to Silco as a father and a leader to them. And they're now forced to really work together. I kind of like that. Now it's just shat on because this realization that how could this critical piece of information is being skipped? And that's a pattern throughout almost every fucking story. Like Caitlyn should be mentioning that. Savika should be aware of it. All of it is just so rushed. Even baby Grogu just literally drops on Jinx's head and it's like, here you go. Here's a new plot device for you. You fucking stupid character. She's so terrible. And I was talking about this on Metals Forge yesterday. You can check that out too. I'll just shout out to them. Comparing Powder's performance in 3 episodes to this piece of shit little kid who just sucks at everything and is not well constructed in any way. Powder, they achieved something special in 3 episodes. They really, really, really did. And this is just like such a fucking pathetic ripoff of that, trying to just rush the arc. And the worst part about it is they can't even leave it as is, like us getting the understanding that now she has a little sister, just like Vi did, and she gets a better, different.
Which is a trick they've already used, because they used it with Silco in season 1 when he gets a surrogate daughter and takes on responsibilities that Vanda has, and then it moderates him as a character. Basically the same thing is happening. It's just on repeat.
Just a crappy version of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here.
I feel bad for you guys not having more context as to what we're talking about because we're pretty solid. I see him cynic, just like, yeah, it sounds pretty terrible, man.
I'll finish it. I'll finish it probably. Like, honestly, had I just not had to go out of town this weekend, I would have had it finished. The episodes are pretty digestible. Like, they're not super long, so
yeah.
I just didn't have the ability to do it. I was driving, so.
And Cynic is just building energy for his hate speech attack on Miss Zegler, which is coming up next. So you can just unleash on her.
I am writing a video about that. Jim for 2 fake monies. Wasn't expecting to be Age of Ultron by Arcane.
Yeah, I love that.
That just means that they're going to release even more worse stuff, and then people will be like, "Oh, this season wasn't so bad after all," because that's kind of what happened with Age of Ultron.
Yeah, it's Age of Ultron, Mando season 2. There's probably so many examples I'm forgetting, but it's one of those moments where you realize this has become a product now that they're just trying to milk to death. It's the art aspect of this is done. Season 1 of Arcane, art. Season 2, fucking rushed entertainment, man. I hate it.
Well, it's not even entertainment; it's rushed advertising.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it, actually. Yes.
Beard, just beard. For $2, not hard to do with writing as ass as Arcane 2.
It rhymes.
Not sure exactly what line that was, what thing that was in relation to, but it kind of fit the whole theme anyway.
Yeah, we like it.
When all the copium has been huffed, people will realize that this is something we could all learn from. Comparing season 1 to season 2.
Crusty Jugglers for $10. There is some Last Jedi level character assassination in this season, as well as insane contrivances and outright holes, and Marvel humor for some reason. Remember when the cop didn't recognize Jinx?
Fucking stupid.
Oh, there's no reason.
Just even if let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he's a fucking moron and he actually believed that. You still arrest her just in case. You check. That's the line you say after she's in the handcuffs and you know that it's secure. You whether she's a copycat or the real thing, you do your job. You don't be a fucking moron and wait for Savika to teleport and bonk you on the head.
But I mean, by this point, Jinx is supposed to be the figurehead of this revolutionary movement, and the cop doesn't recognize her and just says, your trousers look like a circus tent. I don't believe you. Like,
I'm going to say it. I'm gonna say
they literally have posters everywhere.
It's worse than the stormtroopers not recognizing fucking Leia in Kenobi. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no fucking excuse for it whatsoever. You can at least say she was a child of some kind. But with this, it's like there's posters all over the place that she's like a legend in that city. It's so stupid. It's just one of those moments where you have to roll your eyes and just be like, "This is Arcane now." This is Arcane now. This is what they've turned it into. House of the Dragon season 2 was a letdown because of all the details. This is like an utter failure, man. I'm getting more annoyed the more I think about the show.
Same. It is immensely frustrating at this point, and now I'm dreading the next 3 episodes.
Okay, this one is a coordinated effort from all of us at the same time. This is going to be fun.
Oh boy!
You all say at the same time. Oh, okay. Are we doing it?
Yeah. Well, here, Funny Hatter for $5. Not really related. Just wanted to see if you guys would do it. But would you all say at the same time, put a chick in it and make her lame and gay? Wasn't it gay and lame? I thought it was the other way around.
I think it's
lame and gay, or was
it? Lame and gay. I mean, to be fair, it's interchangeable. I think it's lame and gay.
Yeah.
But we're doing it on 3 then.
Yeah, I guess. Who wants to be the one to count it down? I guess Cynic, you're in the middle, so.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Put a
chick in it.
Make it lame.
Wow, we fucked that up.
I said it. I told you.
No, that was terrible.
And gay.
One more time.
And gay.
Put a chick
Let's try
in it.
one more time. This guy paid $5. We have to try one more time to get this right.
All right. How about on 1, 2, 3, go? How about that
Okay.
one? 1, 2, 3, go. Put a chick
Put a chick in it.
Make it
And
lame and make it
gay.
gay.
Laying game. I said laying game.
Lay and game.
You should have bought a hot dog with that $5, buddy.
Laying game. Yeah, this was horrible.
Tasteful.
Hey, $5 for 2.
How about this? I have an idea. This is what we'll do. Everybody say it individually.
We'll just record it on
myself
pickups later. It's fine. We had a go.
Okay. Let's see.
That was, yeah. Our effort was lame and gay.
Lay in game, as I said by accident. You should hear my outtakes on my videos. They're fantastic. I sometimes put them at the end of the video.
We'll always have Arcane season 1. Yeah, that's what me and Platoon were debating. Of like, I think House Dragon can literally go off the rails. Season 1, I would recommend it to everybody for Viserys' arc. Arcane is you can't touch that. I don't think this season is going to be shitty enough to damage at least my enjoyment of watching it. Just from watching, a piece of art and like story construction and character development. I don't see myself excited to rewatch season 2 other than for reviewing purposes.
And it's a testament to the fact that it really doesn't survive thinking about at all. Like my first response, I compared it on Twitter to Ghost in the Shell Innocence, in the sense that the first one is this really profound and infinitely rewatchable thing, and season 2 might go the way of Innocence, which isn't as clever as it thinks it is. And so while for some people it's nice to have, it's just not really treated as an essential sequel. But that was being way too kind to Arcane season 2 in hindsight.
And that's what was that based off? Your love for season 1. I'll fucking watch season 1 right now. It's so fucking good.
I'll fucking watch
it right now.
Yeah, Brooks is like, that's it. I'm leaving the stream. I'm going to watch it.
We're so quiet, man. Yeah,
I just want to say that was from Helen Line for $5 fake. By the way, we never actually said the amount.
That's kind of why I won't quite compare it to Game of Thrones season 8, because you can't really watch the 4 seasons of Game of Thrones in isolation. There's so many plot lines that continue on, where season 1 of Arcane, you could see where things will go, but like you can wrap it up as one season and just take it as it is.
Kurtosis, you say that plot lines as if you need to get into the story. From the prologue, you're going to be fucking pissed off immediately. Because as soon as it starts, what does it start off with? The White Walkers. And we never get a payoff for that after like a decade of watching the show. We get a promise and we get strung along for like a decade. Our lives change. We're different fucking people. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
People got married and had kids in the span of Game of Thrones, and they got fucked on the White Walkers.
I don't know what you're talking about. No
never
payoff. Very clearly, the scene with the Night King. The Night King getting killed by Arya is all the payoff you need.
I feel so bad.
Coming. The moment someone says winter is coming, you're just gonna click, just because you know. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're lying. You're lying to me.
I feel so bad for all the children that were named Khaleesi.
Yeah, they're so screwed.
I've seen quite a few people named after Game of Thrones. Arya is a pretty
I have a friend who named her daughter Arya.
I see a lot of people naming their like then they say that their daughter's name. There's like 5-6-year-old daughters, usually Arya nowadays. So it's pretty common.
that's a testament to like the power of the early seasons of Game of Thrones, how much it affected people. It was something special. People were willing to name their children after their love for this show. You know, my cat is named Aegon. It's named after House of the Dragon. But well, technically, but it was a scene from Game of Thrones that gave me the idea. So so many people have done it before, and you just don't get like no one's naming anything after Arcane season 2. How about that? You know what I'm saying?
I do love that the Khaleesi one is fantastic though, because the Khaleesi one is basically like somebody in 1935 optimistically in Germany naming their kid Adolf, and then oh shit, I shouldn't have done that.
It's true. It is. She stands at like Daenerys. She might be my pick for the worst character assassination of all time. If you really watch that show and understand what they did to that woman. And yeah, that's not a harsh comparison. It's pretty accurate. It's fucked up.
Naming your animals after fictional characters is gee.
No, it's not.
I named my cats Phil and Lil because they were from the same litter and they fought each other a lot. So
I named my cat Gary because he looked like one.
You named your cat Gary because he looked like Gary Nerdrotic for some reason. The beard was there. He walks around and he says the MCU. It's crazy. It's weird. I think that was the last one.
Does he look gay? Get out of here. Come on now.
I think that was the last one for Arcane. So I think we could just move on with our lives.
Yeah, we're thoroughly pissed off the chat enough.
So I guess next up is it's this one. Well, we were talking about lesbians earlier, and she might still have a career if she wants to give it a go, but that's entirely up to her. What's she done this week? Where in the world is Rachel Zegler being?
So the three things that she has going on is it was a couple
things
right after the three main things right now. The most recent ones it was the Donald Trump stuff that was a few weeks ago. That was after the election. Then she had to essentially print, which I do have the apology. She had to put out an apology, which was definitely not written by her. And she has a movie coming out. So those are and it's not Snow White. It's A24. What is it? Y2K, I think is.
Oh yeah, it's a movie about like it takes place during.
Yeah, so she once again has found her way into the negative side of things as a movie is like she's part of a movie. It seems to happen every single time.
Yeah, I find that so weird. Like I thought normally people like they are seeking attention when they don't have anything going on and their narcissism.
Yes,
really
she does. She literally
crazy.
does the opposite every time. When she has a movie coming out, she says something really stupid every time. So.
You know, at least when it was that Shazam movie, she was just talking shit about the movie she was in.
Yeah.
She wasn't actively trying to scare people away from seeing a movie that she is in, period.
So this
really
was
out of touch, man.
This was the apology that she basically she went on she was one of the, I think she might have been the first celebrity meltdown that kind of went viral after the election. And after realizing that she pissed off 71 million people, someone wrote this for her because I failed to believe that she wrote this.
You know what's really well, I can read it, but it's kind of
we don't have to read the whole thing.
It's pointless. No, I was listening to I think a clip from FNT earlier today. Ryan Kinnell was going over this. He was highlighting the fact that obviously she did not write this because the apology is actually
it's
capital letters.
Yeah, there's a proper pronunciation. There's a comma there. Like, look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, this was definitely done by some PR rep somewhere.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna read it out, or do you want someone? I might do it.
I mean, I'm a terrible hard reader, so if someone wants to read it, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jedi. Go right ahead. Mr.
Hi, everyone. I would like to sincerely apologize for my election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I'm sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. This week has been emotional for so many of us, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their own opinion. She didn't even put own.
No.
Whoops.
She doesn't believe that. She was just saying the opposite of that earlier.
Even when it differs from my own, I am committed to contributing positively towards a better tomorrow. It sounds like bullshit.
Please go see Y2K because it's out in theaters.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to be at the end of it.
You know, people keep saying that Disney forced her hand with this, but do you think maybe the A24 who actually has a movie coming out with her like right off? Like,
I
hey,
think
can
it
you
might have
please
actually
stop
been
doing
her
that?
agent. I think it might have been her agent because her I would assume that her agent is looking at this like, if you tank another movie, we're not going to get. I'm not one of my clients will be completely useless. So
that's why I think it's important sometimes to read these out to like try to get inside her head. And I'm just like, nah, this isn't you. This is just like all this is soulless. As I'm like, these words are just. This is what. Yeah, this is the package you want to present. It's just the PR trying to protect her ass.
What movie was she in that was like a massive hit that makes her such a fucking megastar?
The closest thing that she was into that was a hit in her career was that spin-off of Hunger Games. That's the closest.
Yeah, but that wasn't it barely like I think it maybe broke even.
I can look up like what else she was, because she hasn't been in a lot of stuff, so it's not a long career.
You can say that about
some musical production she was
West Side
in.
Story, a remake of West Side Story by Steven Spielberg, right? And that was like a bomb, but it got nominated.
Yeah, that didn't make any money.
It didn't make any money.
That didn't even its budget. So that was a flop and a half.
So
and then she was in.
What is she, like a fucking industry plant? Like, what is she? Why is she famous?
Yeah, you can say that about so many people.
What does she do?
I don't know, man.
Piss people off. That's what she does.
It's a lot of nepotism. That's usually the case for a lot of these things. But it's just I don't know.
What I've heard, she has a nepo hire.
That's usually just plants. That's the best way to put it. I got nothing. Like I don't.
Yeah, she's from New Jersey. Oh God. I wish I didn't look.
Blame you.
I mean, she's from North Jersey. I'm from Central Jersey. It's like two completely different countries.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, the only film that she was in that even turned a profit. I mean, this Hunger Games one did do pretty well, but I don't think she was the main character, was she? I think
no.
She was
well, it did pretty well by
no.
It made like 400 million, right? Like
it made 350 and against 100 million, so it turned a decent profit.
So it ended up
turning
an amazing
profit. Yeah, it probably turned about like an $80 million profit, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, and to be honest, too, I really don't think she pissed anybody off with what she said. I think that most people just point and laugh. It's like it's more of just like, oh wow, you really want to kill your career. I feel like that's most people's actual reaction.
Yeah, the lack of self-awareness with her is just strange at this point. She's so incredibly fake. And you'd think she'd have people smart enough around her to be able to like curb that, but it's just pure ego. She thinks she's untouchable. That's the only vibe I get from that chick. And I don't even really check into her stuff. I just see what everyone else posts, right?
Right, and it's just so weird. Like she's not a commentator or anything. She's an actress, so she's in movies, and she hasn't been in any majorly like successful movies. But she thinks that her platform is important enough to like have discourse and talk about, which she has the right to do, talk about whatever she wants. But in reality, she no one cares. Like, I mean, the most anyone cares is to make fun of her on a podcast like this.
Pretty much. That's the only reason I know about her. Like Gal Gadot sucks at acting. She can't act to save her fucking life. But we all know why she's in that position. She was charming as Wonder Woman, and she's fucking gorgeous, and likable. That's it.
She shuts up when she needs to.
Yeah, she can play the game. That's boom. There's no questions there. With this chick, I'm scratching my head with you. Like fucking industry plant, nepotism, like AI. Like I don't know what this chick is. Like I don't know why she is even a thing. And there's a few people like that. Like I'm not a particular fan of Zendaya, but at least I don't really think she's as talented as people make her out to be.
No, but
I kind of understand she had Homecoming, right, with Spider-Man.
Right, she has like some credits to her name.
Yeah, and she has things outside of that. I think she can sing and dance or whatever or something. Yeah. What does this chick do except talk shit on Twitter?
Yeah, because she's in that same ballpark of like the new celebrity with like Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya and shit like that. But those people have big movies.
Like, he was in Interstellar, Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, was he really?
Was he?
Yeah, he played the younger version of the kid because how he had a son that he ignores throughout the whole fucking movie, but when he worries about his daughter Murph, the other kid that belongs to you too, you fucker. I hate Interstellar, by the way. I fucking hate that he just ignores his son. But one of the versions of his neglected son is played by Timothy.
It sucks because Interstellar actually had like decent time dilation mechanics, and then it was ruined by the end, and also the characterization. It's like the first time a movie really gets that right, and
it was ruined in its most iconic scene, the fucking big waterfall scene. That thing is like, it fucking makes no sense, and it's one of the most praised sci-fi scenes whatsoever. Don't even get me on that movie.
I just find it fascinating with this chick that she did this last year and just couldn't help herself and went over. I think
this even sums up Zendaya. Zendaya can act, but she just doesn't. At some point, she just realized she doesn't have to act anymore, which usually doesn't happen until way later in your career.
Yeah, when you've already won your Oscar and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. That's such a good point, man. She kind of has this vibe to her, like, oh, I've done the thing where you're just getting started, in my opinion. And she was distractingly arrogant in Dune in terms of you just look like a 12-year-old in this little suit. I didn't like her casting at all. It didn't really work for me.
Well, that's Rachel Zegler, everybody.
Is she? Which movie she have coming out?
She's it's an A24 movie, Y2K, which I can go read the description. I
vaguely remember what that is. That is supposed to be a kind of it's a comedy that's set on the eve of the millennium, I think it is. So it's supposed to be nostalgia for the year 1999, because that's such a long time ago now, apparently.
So it's a what if the bug caused all the technology to crash like everybody thought it was going to during Y2K. So the thing that everybody warned against that didn't happen. Some of these are some Fred Durst and Alicia Silverstone. What the fuck?
Fred Durst.
Yeah. He's still alive.
Yeah,
I can see that movie doing surprisingly well, just because it's going to be cheap to make. It's got quite a number of names in it, and I think quite a lot of people will actually find it quite funny. I think it's one of those things. It's got a very low barrier for success, and I think it will breach it.
Yeah, and the nostalgia component of Y2K might get people just to check it out just from that alone.
Honestly, I think I really think the fact that Fred Durst is in it might just get people to come check out how
that's a part of the nostalgia factor, like him too. Fucking Limp Bizkit. Like, where's that
even nostalgia? It's like the novelty factor of like he's still alive.
Fuck yeah.
Fred Durst.
Yeah.
But what happened to Snow White? I thought that was her thing. Like that was the movie that.
Well, that's what everyone was saying, was that like Disney made her apologize because of Snow White. Like, of just, you cannot keep doing this shit because this, I don't know, there's no way that movie's going to be successful at this point anyway. Even if she hasn't annihilated her own career. Yeah, even if she hasn't annihilated her own career, just her association with that project will make people want to stay away from it, because it's just off-putting.
She's at the point now where, depending on how badly that tanks, not if, it's when,
how bad.
At this point.
Yeah.
She's gonna have to go on a redemption tour of lower end movies for quite a while to get any kind of career back, and I'm not sure that her ego will allow her to do that.
Mm-hmm. And does she have the talent to even make anything with those? Like, look at
that's the thing is, it's like, that's the thing is does she have the talent to make those more artsy projects work too?
So I think that she probably, and controversially, does, I would say, because I don't know a huge amount about her backstory, but she is one of that. I mean, someone said it, you might have said it, she's that sort of next generation of celebrity. I think she did come to prominence, didn't she? Because she did a load of covers on YouTube, I think, that got several million views. And I think she was also cast in the West Side Story movie as well, on the strength of publicly just sticking songs on Twitter, basically. So she came into stardom by creating a relatively organic platform, which has evidently gone to her head to the extent that she thinks that she is, in a sense, above the roles that she plays. But she is evidently, I don't think she would be that popular and have that many views if she had no talent whatsoever. I've never actually seen her in anything, but she must have a reasonably good voice. And she's pretty enough, so she'll still get roles, I would imagine. It depends like how much damage I think is done to Snow White, because that's got to be the big marquee production. And it does start to feel like every time she tweets, that movie gets delayed by another year.
Yeah. That's why I'm at a point, like, is it coming out next year? Did it come out 6 months ago? Is it out in theaters right now? Like, I'm like so out of touch with that movie, because I feel like we've been talking about it forever.
The timing with this was comical too, because I think I don't know, we did BSUP, I think we didn't do BSUP the week of the election, did we? But
No.
either way, when we were discussing her last, it was like generally before the election, and it was something along the lines of like, oh, she hasn't said anything for a while. Like, I think she's smartened up. I think Disney's really.
We said that on the one that Drinker was on last. We said, she's been relatively quiet, and then the next day, the very next day, this happened, and people were, because I remember looking at the comments, and people were like, yeah, that aged well.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on what Platoon said, I've always said she has this. She'd probably be a lot more attractive if she wasn't always making these angry faces about everything. She's always seems like every time I see a picture of her, it's either this like deadpan look she's trying to do here.
What's with that? What's with the Billie Eilish Gen Z dead fish stare?
I don't know.
It's like I know that it's become like a negative connotation, but it's like just smile from time to time.
I don't know.
It helps. It helps you. It helps you on a biological level.
Well, Billie Eilish can pull it off at least.
She can pull it off. That's fine, but one person. That's it.
Yeah, everyone's trying to copy her swagger.
She's like the Steph Curry for facial expressions. Like she ruined the whole fucking game because only one person can pull it off, and everyone wants to shoot threes, and they all suck.
It's fucking frustrating. I'm probably the only person who knows what you're talking about.
Well, thank you.
No,
Someone does.
I know who Steph Curry is.
Oh shit.
Who is?
Do you want to move on to another?
Is it a basketball thing?
Player.
It is a basketball thing. Yeah.
He's one of the few good second generation basketball players who
it's a man
better than his dad.
I watched.
Yeah, it's Stephon Curry.
I remember playing as Del Curry in video games like as a kid, and to see that his son actually is past his legacy is pretty cool. You don't often see that.
Let's see if I have any related to this topic.
You can't say that for LeBron's son. That guy is shit apparently.
Bronny James? Come on.
Bronny. His name is Bronny. Oh my god.
His name is LeBron James Jr. and they call him Bronny because that's bad. That's how bad his name is.
I hope
fucking nickname's Bronny.
He probably had to fight every day at school of just like, fuck you fucking entitled bitch.
You think he went to a regular school? His father's a billionaire.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
This poor guy has it all right. Like he's 6 foot something, but because his dad's LeBron James and like 6'8", he's like a midget. Like everyone's he's so
LeBron
tiny,
James
he's so short.
and was like 260 of muscle, like running up and down the court. Bronny James is like 6. Yeah, Bronny James is like 6'2" and like a twig. It doesn't make any sense.
In comparison, yeah, I know it happens. Like I'm not shorter than my dad. But it's just the standards when it comes to that stuff. You're never gonna be. LeBron James is a special fucking athlete. To be able to be 6'8",
this is not on the original topics list, so
real quick. I'm just saying to be able to be 6'8" and move the way he moves is part of the reason he's so special. To appeal to people who don't give a shit about basketball, but just understand athleticism. 6'8" guys shouldn't move the way he moves, and that's part of the reason he's so great. And
so your appeal to me, you're saying that the thing I should find appealing about basketball is that a tall person can move.
The way LeBron James can move compared to other tall people, yes, I find that.
I will say this: one of my favorite jokes about LeBron James, I do this all the time, and I get it's my way of like rage baiting his fans. Is joking about how he's never gotten past the first page of a book ever.
Oh, dude, it's fucking hilarious.
Every time there's a picture taken of him, he's reading a book, and do I have a book?
The first page,
always on page 1.
It's always page 1 like this.
It's pretty bad.
The fact that there's so much evidence asked him about the book he was reading because they had caught him. Like I think it was Malcolm X's autobiography. I think it was something from Malcolm X, and he said he was a smart man. I got a lot out of it, and it's like they were like, "Well, what was your favorite excerpt?" He was like, "I just started reading the book, but he was a smart man." Like, yeah. I too once had to give a presentation on a book I didn't read, LeBron. So yeah, and like he gets caught in weird lies. Like someone asked him what his favorite movie was, and he said The Godfather, and he
couldn't quote it. He couldn't make a single quote.
One fucking quote from that movie, and he said it was his favorite movie of all time. Like
people who have never seen the movie can quote The Godfather. It's just...
He tried to laugh it off like the interviewer asking the question was a fucking idiot for even thinking that he might know a quote from The Godfather of all movies.
Oh my god.
Only because this is pseudo related to the
lame.
random topic that we've gotten onto. I'll highlight this one.
Wolfsbane for $1.99. As Ryan would say, just let Bronny stream COD.
I mean, I kind of get the sense that he didn't actually want to be in the NBA, but he just felt he had to. Like, that's what I really get.
Yeah, that whole situation, I feel so bad for that kid because it's just like, it's all about your father, dude. It's about how your father looks as a father to other people. It's about, you know what I mean? It's not about you at all. It's about LeBron James showing the world that he got what he wanted out of it, which was like his kid in the NBA or whatever.
Beyond tough shoes to fill. And kind of sucks.
Was
in any industry.
Okay, so let's I guess let's move on to there's no fun tagline for this one like there was Barbenheimer, but
yes, there is. Chris Gore posted it.
Oh, did he? I haven't heard
he
this.
Did. Hang on, I'll find it. I gotta find it again. I think I saved it.
I mean,
yes, it's Glicked.
I was gonna say, if it's Gladiator, I'm gonna laugh my ass off if it's
Glicked. It's you know what you're gonna get. Glicked.
Barbenheimer is pretty hard to top.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't seen
either. And I saw somebody say in the chat that they sent in 2 super chats. We will get to all of them. I just try to keep them relevant to the current topic.
Yeah, we'll get you. So you UK people, has anyone seen this yet?
I have seen it, and I didn't realize that none of you had. It's one of those rare occasions where the UK gets a movie a long time before the US does. So I've seen the Gladiator movie, and if you've seen the first Gladiator movie, you've also seen the new Gladiator movie. So it's not really hard. It's kind of nothing to spoil as far as that goes. It is the same film with a couple of very minor aesthetic tweaks, and that's kind of it. But given it isn't out, how are we doing this? If it's not out in America, are people concerned about spoilers for this movie? Are we just talking about how we think it's going to do?
It's not going to be.
Yeah, I'm not terribly concerned here about spoilers.
Not one bit.
What about chat though? Should I put a poll in chat before we do this?
Oh, you're able to do that? Yeah, do that.
You can, right?
No, I think,
how do I do that?
I think Platoon has to do it.
Platoon has to do it.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. So
you go, if you actually open the stream on your YouTube, like the actually not studio, your YouTube page, it will have an option there for you.
I think we got like 12 in a row of saying "fuck it," spoil it. I don't care.
Fuck it. 1,200 people watching. 12 people said "fuck it." So let's go.
To be fair, if it's exactly the same as the first, what is there to spoil, really?
And it is shockingly the same as the. I mean, I'm not. It can sound hyperbolic to say it's exactly the same. It is exactly the same film. The principal differences are that there are 2 emperors instead of 1, and that there are 2 Maximuses instead of 1. But they are basically the same. The plot skeleton is exactly even shot for shot same. The way the film is put together same. So like we see, it opens with your text scroll. Gladiator 1 did that. Gladiator 2 does that. You get the first shot of happy Roman guy in his farm very briefly. Gladiator 1 does that. Gladiator 2 does that. Segues into like preemption to big battle. Both movies do that, except that Gladiator 1 did a really good battle with practical effects in the woods, and Gladiator 2 has Pedro Pascal leading this CGI fleet of boats to ram against the walls of a massive city. And the son, so Lucius is the main character, one of the main characters. He is Maximus's son because Maximus had secretly boned Lucilla in the first movie. And then he was told he had to leave to save his life, but Lucilla didn't leave to save her life because reasons like that, and there are no reasons. She's fine to stay in Rome, but he's in danger, so she sends him away. And so the Maximus character is sort of on both sides of this opening conflict. Lucius has a wife in this movie who is a lady soldier, of course, in North Africa or in Roman times, lady soldier. So she's not an innocent person who gets murdered on a farm by the evil empire. She is an actual soldier who shoots at Romans. And so Pedro Pascal sees her shooting at Romans and says, "That one, shoot her." And then she gets shot, and then she ragdolls off the walls and dies. And then Lucius ragdolls off the walls and dies. And then because the first movie did those sort of hallucinatory memory moments. This one does it too. So like Maximus has the farm and Lucius just sees his wife occasionally. But Pedro Pascal's character is not a bad person. He is a good person as well. So a good person has killed the wife of a good person in order to set up the stakes. But then the rest of it just goes, Lucius is then captured. He becomes a gladiator. Denzel Washington's character is just Proximo from the first movie, but black. He's the master of gladiators, and he trains him up and he takes him to Rome to fight in the Colosseum. Proximo, though, Black Proximo has like ambitions. He wants to rule Rome. So he sort of manipulates the two absolutely mad emperors who have no character besides the fact that they're evil. They're just stupid and evil. So over the course of it, like he's worming his way up through society. Lucius fights in the arena. Pedro Pascal tries to overthrow the emperors like Maximus does in the cell with the conversation with the senators, and it doesn't work. And so he ends up in the arena, and then he gets killed, and then Lucilla gets put in the arena, and then she has to be saved. But then, oh no, she gets killed because the same thing happened in 1 where the mother is in danger and Maximus has to fight to save her, etc., etc., etc. And then it all wraps up just as the first movie did. Main character is victorious over the evil emperor, gives a speech about resuscitating the dream of Rome, and then we fade to a memory, and the memory is actually Maximus's memory from the first movie. It's his hand waving through the grass for no fucking reason. It's just there. And that's kind of it. Honestly, like, to try and make any... I don't know why they've done it. There's no new movie here. The only major difference is that Proximo's character, the Black Proximo, has political aspirations. That's it. That's the main difference. In fact, probably the only difference. The rest of it is just the same, but with less character work and less subtlety.
Yes, I found why in the comments right here.
Yeah, remember Gladiator is very much it. They even have Maximus's armor is in the Colosseum and his sword. So, but his name has been scratched out of the like the memorial of the best gladiators, because the emperors thought he was a threat. But they left him with his own shrine in the basement with his armor and his sword, so that Lucius can go and grab his armor and his sword for the final engagement and wear them. So he looks the same and sounds the same and says the same things. It's such a soulless fucking movie.
What's wrong with this old man?
Ridley?
Yeah, what's wrong with this old
man? Come
You're
on,
fucking it up, Ridley. It's just, I can't be did it again.
At this point, the scale is tipped to he has more bad movies than good. Significant.
Yeah, there's only so much forgiveness to go around here, man.
Yeah,
everyone forgave him for Prometheus. Everyone, and then Covenant came out and it's like, okay, Ridley, what the fuck you doing? You know.
And then Romulus doubled down on that shit.
No, Martian was a bit of a comeback for him. People were like, hey, that's pretty good. I think Romulus is like the worst fucking alien movie, or at least my most hated, based on like it being fucking.
It might. You're reverse prisoner of the moment. You're released prisoner of the moment right now.
A released prisoner of the moment.
Amelia Bedelia before said that they cut a man-on-man kiss, and that might have actually been the most accurate thing to Roman times had they left that in. I think that was a mistake. They should have left that.
It was Denzel Washington's character, who Black Proximo apparently has this kiss cut. But that's sort of indicative of what the movie is, which is that even something as superficially different as that is too ambitious for this movie, so it was removed in order that he can just basically be Proximo with aspirations. And the way he takes over, because his actual name is Macrodus, and if you know anything about Roman history, he is emperor very briefly for about a year. All of these characters, they exist in history, but they are not the same people in history at all. Like the two emperors in this are mad twins. The real emperors are so much more interesting because they're not twins, they're brothers, and their father puts them in charge and the expectation that they will be able to rule the empire together because he loves them and he's optimistic for them. But they are incapable of sharing, and so like they try to split the empire in two, and their mother tells them no, and they try and assassinate each other repeatedly, to the point where one of them, Caracalla, actually summons his own brother to his mother's house where he knows there'll be no soldiers, and assassinates his brother in his mother's arms. This is the real life story. None of that's in the movie, because that would be way too interesting. In the movie, it's just two twin emperors who are just insane, but then in the last 15 minutes, one of them, we find out, is insane because he has basically syphilis. But the other one is also insane, and he doesn't have syphilis. So there's no, like, they're the same character, but one of them gets an explanation for why, in order to set up the betrayal. So one of them gets killed first, and then Black Proximo kills the other one later. And But there's no reason for it. It's suddenly thrown in because the plot needs to move along at this point. And so, oh, by the way, he's mad because he has syphilis. We need to kill him. Okay, I'll kill him. Goodbye. And then later in the arena, and it's just all sorts of really, really strange, baffling decisions. Like because Pedro Pascal's character has like Maximus's popular appeal. That's the part of his character he was given. He's a threat when he's in the arena, but he doesn't try to use the fact that he's popular to turn people against the emperors. He just sort of goes along with everything. And then he gets killed, and then the people are unhappy, but they don't riot. They don't riot when they have the emperors sitting next to them. They save it till the night where they can riot, so another scene can happen instead. But none of the internal mechanics actually function. And yeah, syphilis does cause insanity. It's one of the theories, I think, for Nietzsche's death is that he was mad with syphilis, and he fell in love with a horse, and he ran out in front of the horse and got run over. So it's a pretty bad thing to have if you let it.
Way to go.
Yeah, it's a tough one, syphilis. But yeah, they don't call it syphilis in the movie. The explanation is the disease of his loins has infected his brain or something. It's like, okay, but how does that explain?
I mean, they
explain
probably
every other
didn't have a
character?
name for it yet. That might have just been that may have actually been something that made sense. So
I think they do, no, because the Romans were very advanced in terms of sexual knowledge and knowledge of sexual diseases and gynecology as well. Like one guy, what was his name? Is it Salus of Ephesus? One of the two. Like he wrote 4 whole volumes on vaginas, which is interesting because like he was Greek, and you don't expect the Greeks to know much about the vaginas, but he did. He wrote lots of books on vagina.
So, apparently, the name syphilis originates in an ancient myth about the shepherd named Syphilis from in 1530. That was where it was first arrived.
Oh, in which case, like, yeah, it's way too late.
Yeah, so that was you're talking about what 2,000, 3,000 years later or something like that. I don't know exactly.
To be fair, I mean, you do see famously in this movie things that piss historians off. You do see a guy sitting outside a cafe reading a newspaper at one point, and that isn't going to be invented for about 3,000 years. So like, they're happy to cut technological progress if they need to. It's just like it's soulless things, like, you know, the fact that you see Maximus in the first movie has his entire journey where he begins so, you know, desolate because of his wife being murdered and he refuses to fight, but the goodness in Maximus is the thing that inspires all these downtrodden Romans to rediscover Roman virtue. And the lesson of that film is that the greatness of Rome isn't in technology, and it's not in gilded laurels and all of these accoutrements of richness. It's in the spirit, and he reawakens that dream by proving his example. There are no secondary gladiator characters in this movie. So like, you don't see Lucius earning the loyalty of his people. They just are loyal to him for reasons. There's no actual fights really with other gladiators. It's all animals. So the first fight, which is in basically the same arena as Maximus's fight in the arena in North Africa in the first movie, that happens in this one. But instead of other gladiators where he can prove himself against his fellow men, it's CGI baboons. That's what you get. And they look awful. And then there's an undefeated gladiator who comes in to fight him at one point, because that happens in the first movie. But to ramp the stakes up, he's riding a rhino, which also looks shit. And then there's sharks later on. They flood the Colosseum, and they have sharks in it, and they stage a naval battle, which is, yeah, it's
This is a Gladiator movie. Like, what the fuck?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same as the first movie, just with like worse special effects and no soul and no characters.
It all sounds like shit. Like, pretty much my only question was Denzel any good? Like, what's he got left?
He does the best job with what he's given, and he is given the best material. Like, he is the only thing really about that movie that's in any way different, and he performs the part well enough.
Good.
But he's the only character in there who looks even halfway intelligent, and even that, by the end of the movie, is just gone. Like, he becomes as dumb as everyone else. There's a bit where, so toward the end of the movie, Lucilla, the mother, is brought out because she's been implicated in Pedro Pascal's plot to overthrow the emperors. So she's literally wheeled out into the arena to be killed. And then, like, Lucius intervenes. So then Denzel Washington's character gets a bow himself and shoots her. Then he rides off through the riots in the street, rides off out to meet the army, which is coming toward Rome. But Lucius manages to teleport around him to the other side of the river to lead a different army, which is marching toward Rome from the other direction, even though he left after him. And then instead, so the guy who's in charge and is taking control of all of the military and has the entire army decides to ride to the front of the battle in order that he could be in more danger than if he just stayed put. And then, like, obviously he gets killed because he's playing Commodus in this part of the movie. So it's I wouldn't even bother watching it, to be honest. It was a nice excuse to rewatch the first one. That's a better movie than I gave it credit for.
Commodus's performance is like top 10 in terms of like creepy villains. It just strictly, not even just strictly based on his performance alone, like ignoring the writing aspect. He's one of the first people that comes to mind for that. And I don't think there's ever gonna top that in the Gladiator 2. It doesn't seem like there's anyone who's able to recreate that.
It's because they give him a character.
I rarely get the highlight by Xanth, by the way.
Yeah, it's a very rare thing that comes up in chat, but sometimes it does.
That affected his career, by the way. His performance was almost so compelling that people like it in terms of casting. It like really changed the way people viewed him. Same with the Jim Carrey with Cable Guy. That happens to people sometimes. It's really strange.
But he's done a tremendous service by the fact that they do give him a character. He's a well-written character. He's not just evil for the sake of being evil. You know, you have the two successive scenes at the beginning of the movie where Marcus Aurelius tells Maximus that he's the son he wishes he'd had. And then the payoff for that is, of course, his first one-on-one conversation with Commodus, when Commodus lays it all out before his father for the first time. You know, I just want your love and your appreciation, and you hold Maximus up because of all these virtues. You wrote a list of virtues, and I read them, and I can't find a single one of my virtues there. And so that he's been abandoned, and he wants to be loved, and he's neglected. And it's a kind of implicit critique of Marcus Aurelius's character that he's been so obsessed with expanding the borders of his vast empire that he has neglected things close to home. So Commodus reflects the declining moral character of Rome as a city. Having been neglected by its father, wise as he is, it turns to corruption and decadence and violence. And that's what gives Commodus his motive for the rest of the movie. So he's not, like, he is evil.
Yeah, there's a premise to work with.
A character there. Yeah, exactly. He's not evil in his own story. He is taking what he thinks was owed to him. Whereas the two emperors, Gita and Caracalla, in this movie, they are just evil. You get no backstory at all. You don't know why they're mad until one of them at the end. And they're just insane. And you have no idea how they've lasted in a position of power this long, given that they are so manifestly incompetent and nasty. But fuck it, who cares?
I don't know. And that's something you can gather from just like pretty much the first like 20 minutes of the movie or whatnot. Like you get a real good sense of the entire dynamic there. Yeah. Don't get the sense that you get the same quality in Gladiator 2. It's just everyone who said it's shit.
I just want to talk about the Byzantine Empire now. Everyone that's been brought up now. I'm very happy about this. I love them people bring. I don't know why. I have like a love for the Byzantine Empire. I don't know why.
It's funny. This kind of connect. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. What Latun was saying. It all kind of connects back to what we were talking about, whether we're talking about Arcane or Gladiator. It's the concept of sequelitis, of whether it's something a million years later you're trying to milk, or something that literally is popular now and you're ruining by trying to milk it up too early. Like, not even Arcane is not at the point where we should. It's not like The Walking Dead season 6. We're like, what are we doing now? People still had a lot of expectations for this, and they've just kind of butchered it. So it's like two different ways of fucking up something that was so well constructed and not knowing why it worked in the first place. It just drives me nuts.
Like, Ridley Scott has ideas for a third movie as well, because Lucius doesn't die at the end of this movie. Unlike, like, it's very important to the first movie that Maximus dies, because the dream of Rome can't be embodied ultimately in one man. It has to be this reawakening of the spirit of Rome in the people. So, like, the original plan for the first Gladiator was that Maximus would survive. And I think between Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe together, they basically said it's way more morally important to his story that he has to die at the end, which this movie just completely forgets. So Lucius doesn't die, which means he can take part in any third movie, which apparently Ridley Scott wants to happen. But it's another way, just the complete lack of understanding of the thing he himself made is quite astounding. Like, Ridley Scott doesn't seem to understand what made Gladiator really good.
That's it. That's the reoccurring pattern. It's just
somebody got the year right.
Not understanding what made it work in the first place. It's so incredibly fresh. It's like, did you even watch it? Did you watch the thing? Do you know why we like this shit? It's fucking crazy. And it just keeps happening. Ridley needs to sit down. He needs a glass of water and like a thorough retirement. Like, he just can't keep doing this anymore. Like, tampering with his own work. I don't understand it. And it just, you would think they'd have people around them to be able to mitigate that, because everybody always talks about George Lucas. Part of the reason the OT worked is he had the right people around him to fucking like keep him in check. He didn't have that. He had a bunch of yes men, so we got the prequels like later on, and you see the difference with these things. And I just wish, with all this information, all the things we have to reference, and people we have to learn from, this would be something that we wouldn't still be dealing with. Like, Arcane season 2 should have never been allowed to happen. the quality.
We're not going backwards. No.
No, I'm talking about. No, I was done. I was continuing. Arcane season 2 shouldn't have been allowed to happen. Something like Gladiator 2 shouldn't fucking happen unless you actually have an idea. And yeah, it's annoying. But T2, what's the gap between T1 and T2? It's quite good amount of time. Dark, you know that
about I think it was 6 years. I think, or
is that little? I think it's even more than that.
Yeah,
I think it's 7 years. Maybe.
7, 8 is what.
No, it's 84 to 92. So it was at 8 years. Sorry.
Okay, so that's a significant amount of time movie wise. Yet T2 is one of the greatest sequels ever. It's like the textbook. Like, how do you do a sequel? Beautiful continuity. You can do it. You know, it doesn't have to be like, so something like Gladiator 2 is just fucking annoying, man. Like you just writing off the name. You didn't actually have a story to tell me whatsoever. I hate that. And I hate that moment of realization when you're watching the movie of like, fuck. There's just not much here to work with whatsoever.
I mean, my sort of speculative theory actually is that Ridley Scott is using what he's effectively done is jammed together his original script for Gladiator, the one where Maximus survives, with a couple of very half-baked ideas for a sequel. Because if you change just one thing about Gladiator 2, a lot of it makes a surprising amount of sense, at least more sense. Like, I think the original plan when he was first scripting the first Gladiator, like the idea for the sequel came to him at that point. Maximus was supposed to survive. And actually, Pedro Pascal's character in this movie is supposed to be Maximus. I think in Ridley Scott's original idea, this second movie would have Maximus fighting against his son. Because it makes more sense as a movie, Gladiator 2, if you assume that Pedro Pascal is actually Lucius's father, i.e. Maximus himself. Then you get this, the son who has been effectively forced out and is, vengeful. And you have the father who once embodied Rome has now sort of become its unwitting servant, the thing he once himself fought against. It makes more thematic sense and more character sense. Because the other thing is that Pedro Pascal's character is married to Lucilla in this movie. And the strong implication in Gladiator 1 is that Maximus and Lucilla had a very strong thing. So if Maximus hadn't died, they might have struck that up again. So I suspect that might be where I say the idea loosely, where the idea came from. But because Maximus was dead, he just invented another new character, which makes it all even messier. But he never really had any more ideas beyond that. It was just a premise. And so the premise is just fleshed out by pasting the first movie script onto it.
Why is that their only solution?
Wicked is a thing too.
I know nothing about Wicked. So.
I don't even. Yeah.
Well, more so. I mean, originally it was like, what do we think these movies are going to do, box office wise? Do you think they're going to have that random spike up because both of them came out at the same time? Which it does seem kind of like that's what they're going for. Like, here's the one for, that appeals to women. Here's the one that appeals to men. I just don't think they're going to be.
Not even.
I don't think it's.
Not even close, because Oppenheimer had the part of being literally like a period piece. Like we're talking about a very important time in history. So there's going to be people who will watch it just for that. And Barbie is one of the 3 best marketed movies I've ever seen in my life. Barbie, the first Blair Witch Project, and Black Panther. That's the best marketing I've ever seen. Those 3. Barbie, like, literally just sold a movie on it's Barbie, it's pink. You like Barbie? Yeah, come Barbie. No one would tell me what the fucking. I still don't know what Barbie was about, and it doesn't matter. It made $1 billion just based.
It was about the color pink. Yeah. You had it right.
It's pink. It's Barbie. Come, you like Barbie? Yeah, you know what? I do like Barbie. Let's go. Girl.
They are very close.
They made $1 billion off that.
I have a feeling that they're going to try to do a similar thing because both movies are very close in length. They're within about 10 minutes of each other in length. So I have a feeling they're going to be doing a lot of like dual shows where they try to start them relatively close in hopes that they can get couples to kind of split in the theater, so to say. Because that's what happened with Oppenheimer and Barbie a lot, was like the couple would show up, the wife would go to Barbie, the husband would go to Oppenheimer, and they'd meet in the middle because both movies, ended at some point, obviously. And that was one of the reasons why they were both so successful. There was like the part like that you'd have like groups of guys walking in like 1930s clothes, and then a group of wives walking in all pink.
Yeah, do you think have a lot of fun with that for sure?
Do you think any of the controversy that it's minimal, really, any minimal controversy that surrounded Wicked is going to actually impact its box office?
What controversy?
I don't think so.
Exactly, I
I
suppose it was like the actress.
Garbage.
Yeah, the actress who plays the Wicked Witch. She said something about like some fan poster.
Cynthia Erivo.
Oh, she got mad that they edited her face or her eyes out or something like that.
Yeah, it was like she didn't realize that it was just an homage to the original poster or something, and she took it really offensively.
Oh, that's
made an ass of herself, a complete ass.
No, she did. No, she did actually know that it was, because her statement was about the fact that the original poster was art and like a painting or something, and she looked into the camera because her eyes tell a story, despite the fact that they were dead eyes completely.
Right, she did know. So what I mean is she made a universal ass of herself.
Okay, so yeah, it's even worse if she knew, because that's just arrogance. I'd rather her be ignorant and embarrass herself than be so arrogant to think that, like, I don't know, man. That's the only thing I know about this, and I do not care. I'm not seeing that stupid movie. Like, who's watching that shit? It's just, come on, man.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect it, but I guess everybody want to give like some predictions on these ones.
Well, like Cynic already said, the only one who gets away with the dead fish eyes is Billie Eilish. So, like,
she's the only one
coke out of her mind 24/7. She's just like, she's on something.
Numb. She looks numb at all times. Like, just, are you Billy? You there? Like,
Jesus Christ.
I just imagine them having like a hand cart wheeling her out for her concerts, snapping some smelling salts, and then okay, go ahead.
Oh my god!
How about this? How about which one do you think is going to make more money? That's really the question.
Wicked.
You think Wicked?
Really?
Yes.
I think Gladiator, just because I don't know what the fuck Wicked is. Like, people would check Gladiator 2 out. One, just because, you know, it's a sequel, and two, just, hey, maybe it's an action movie. Just there's just superficial reasons to check it out. Wicked, I don't know what it is.
I find it strange that Wicked, there are no reviews for it on Rotten Tomatoes. When does the embargo lift? Why is there an embargo?
I would assume the embargo should. I mean, I could have, if I wanted to see it, I could have seen it on Wednesday because that's when pre-showings are. So I would guess that the embargo would lift in a day or two.
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
You need to. I think I don't know exactly how those embargoes work, but when people are allowed to go see them, like when it's officially out and people can pay for tickets, you need to be able to see reviews. Like that's part of the whole deal. So I would assume tomorrow is the end of the embargo.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. I'd really be interested. I hesitate to make a guess on box office predictions, but I would. I don't know. I'll shoot it. 60 million for Gladiator and 75 million
opening weekend.
Opening weekend and 75 for Wicked.
Does it change your estimation if I say that just in the territories it's released so far, Gladiator's already made 87 million?
Nope.
Fair enough.
So that's your
no, because
domestic
it's 80,
number.
Yeah, that's my domestic number. So the 87 million, if that's where it's gotten to so far on worldwide release, 60. Yeah, I definitely stick with 60 then for sure. That actually reinforces it more. But yeah, that's just a shot in the dark here. We'll see what happens. 75 for Wicked. I think that'll take the top spot for the weekend, though.
I think if it was Thanksgiving weekend, it might hit 75. I don't think it's going to hit that the first weekend. I think it's going to have assuming it doesn't have the worst reviews, it'll have a bigger second weekend because it's a holiday weekend, domestically at least.
Yeah, so that one.
I'm going to say, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's really going to depend on the reviews on that one, because at least Gladiator's reviews are out, and like those have been trickling in for a while, so they didn't fear how people are going to respond to that. But with Wicked, they certainly have.
My feeling is that both of these movies are hoping to have bigger weekends because of the holiday after that. Like that's I think they were both strategically placed because of that to not have that drop off. And I wouldn't be shocked if the opening weekends are damaged by the fact that everyone could be like, well, next week is a holiday, I'll just go when I have off, you know, if they have off.
And then they would leg out at least. So we'd be talking about that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's just going to be a blip compared to Barbenheimer, though. This does not.
I don't think we'll ever see that again. I think that they're going to try and do something similar, but I don't think it's going to have the same effect.
Yeah, exactly. It has like a miniaturized feeling of that. Not nearly as big.
I'm not going to go with 75 for Wicked. I'm going to put it at closer to 50. Let's say I'm going to say 55. Only because I have a feeling there's going to be a decent number of people who are going to say next week's a holiday weekend. I'll just go see it then.
So, do you think who's going to win the weekend?
I still think Wicked will win, but not by much. I think they'll be a lot closer than you're saying.
Damn. So if Wicked's going to open to 55 in your estimation, what's Gladiator 2?
Probably only about 5 million less. I'd say they probably are pretty close. I'm not going to discount the fact that there's a holiday right around the corner that people, and one that generally people try to find something to do to avoid the ones who aren't trying to shop, try to avoid stores and stuff. So
you're underestimating the vacuousness of Grande fans. We'll get healthy international numbers. Yeah, probably international. This is just domestic that we're
she needs to eat a lot on Thanksgiving. You can see her ribs from her back. Like it doesn't make any sense. Her body is all bone at this point.
Well, maybe with some money that they make from this, she can buy a sandwich.
Anybody else have any predictions on the?
No, I mean only vaguely. I think Wicked probably in the long run outperform Gladiator 2. I think Gladiator 2 will have a strong beginning and taper off when people. Actually, that might be too optimistic. People like soulless cash grabs, so
they do.
I would still expect Wicked to do more just because it's got the family demo, it's got the single why not demo, it's got the gay demo, it's got a lot of demos going for it, hasn't it? So
does Gladiator 2 do the member berries good enough to like appeal to the idiots? That's the question.
I mean, potentially. I hope not. But
don't underestimate the power of member berries. So
I think that there's a lot of movies recently have tried this, and a lot of them have flopped. We're a sequel to something that either shouldn't have ever been made or it should have been made a long time ago, and it doesn't seem to ever work out very well.
It's gonna get that Joker 2 treatment.
Let's God, baby. Jesus Christ! No. But it's just, how many of you have seen Jaws?
Of course, I've seen.
Yes.
Okay, stupid question, really. How many of you have seen Jaws 4 or 3 or any of the other retarded?
That's
sequels?
The one with is that the one with Michael Caine?
Yeah, 4 has Michael Caine.
I love Jaws: The Revenge.
His quote is, "I've never seen the movie, but I've seen the house I bought my mom with me."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I do appreciate his perspective on that, but like, let's be real, sequelitis is a thing that's been around for fucking ages. How many people have seen The Lion King? How many people have seen The Lion King 2? Like, fuck it.
I have.
Or Mulan 2. It's just, why?
Lion King 1.5 is hilarious. It's from the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa, and it's hilarious. Okay.
God. It's just the fact that, like, I think I would love to watch a documentary on sequelitis, a real big breakdown of just,
and then have a sequel,
or at least
be
learned from. Yeah, and have a really crappy sequel to it. But I just think it's something we should really have learned from already at this point.
Jedi Brooks, I'm gonna need you to argue why Jaws 3D isn't better than the first.
It's fucking, oh my God, man. It's just fascinating to look at. Like, I would love to watch all of those movies and like by the end, like, break down what they lost along the way. Like, how did we get to this? Like, yeah.
So one that it's funny because I love this movie, but I always say it's like the beginning of the downfall for that series. Really, maybe not the beginning, but it's definitely I always say Rocky 4 is the best bad movie ever. It's not even really, the original cut is not even really a movie. It's music videos. It's over and over again, and it's still enjoyable as hell. But when you look at where that started, the near perfection of the script of Rocky, and then you get to Rocky 4, and you're like,
you get to Rocky 4, and there's a robot that's like serving people drinks and shit.
They got cartoonish by 3 when they had Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, 3 was kind of the turning point. 4 was the official, like, we've gone over the cliff.
I would say it's still grounded by character, where it's lost its like it's lost its roots of Rocky 1 and 2. Those are my 2 favorites, but it's still tied together through character. Like, I think one of the best scenes in the entire series is 3 with Adrian and Rocky on the beach. It's the best of Adrian.
Yes, I agree with you.
And
I 100% agree.
It's literally Stallone, arguably his best acting. Like, anyone who thinks he can't act, he's not accused of that as much as Arnie, but
Schwarzenegger.
Stallone on the beach, phenomenal. Him like admitting that he's afraid to his wife is like, it's so fucking potent of a scene. And Rocky 4, they get much more goofy with it, but I still think
have you ever, Brooks, have you ever seen the recut of Rocky 4, Rocky versus Drago? It came out about like 3 years ago. He brought in like other clips that were not used. He took stuff out, rejigged the whole thing.
No, I didn't even know that existed.
Oh, check it out. So they removed the robot. First of all, the robot doesn't exist.
You want to watch that?
And they turn it into a more. They take a lot of the goofier aspects out, and it becomes a lot more serious. They actually they extended the fight with Apollo to make it seem like he got beaten even worse. I mean, I know he gets beaten to death in either one, but it always seemed in the original cut like out of nowhere he just dies. And
throw the towel, man! Throw the towel!
I know that we've gone off the rails now on this.
This is directly.
I learned from Rocky 4 that there's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home.
But I will say to anybody in the chat, if you haven't seen the recut of Rocky 4, it is a significantly improved film.
I'm 100% so fast. I'm gonna check that out now. But just since it reminded me, literally 2 of my favorite performances of all time is Mickey, Rocky's coach,
and that android in Rocky 4.
Fuck the android, Apollo's coach. That fucking dude, throw the towel, man, throw the towel. Like you want to explain what emoting is? If you want to explain to someone what emoting is, just show Apollo's coach.
Yeah,
throw the towel.
You know it's a classic when it becomes a meme.
Oh my god, it's so good, man. It's so good. Yeah, Rocky's fantastic.
I guess on that note, you want to do the rest of the super chats?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's start with I'll go. This one is always a great one, and it's been sitting. And I should have brought this up sooner, but
Brooksy was on a roll, so I didn't feel. I saw that Toivo had exited the chat, so I didn't feel too bad about not getting to this one. Toivo Korhonen for 50 fake bucks. Hey, BSUP, you have these 3 actors and these 3 roles. You do the casting. Actors are Neil Patrick Harris, Timothy Chalamet, and Jason Momoa. The roles are Link in Legend of Zelda, a trans character in Harry Potter and the Forced Apology, and the next Bond girl.
What?
Okay, so
definitely Momoa for the next Bond girl, I guess.
Yeah, no.
He'd be
Jason Momoa is definitely the trans character in Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with.
Yeah,
really overdid the testosterone.
Oh god.
That's what we're gonna...
Well, Link, isn't that automatically Timothy Chalamet?
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, Toivo does this every week, and he really sets us up for
he's getting better at it too, where he's making it like there's one obvious one and then 2 impossible choices. It's fantastic.
Very good. And so, of course, that means Neil Patrick Harris is the Bond girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that makes the most sense.
Well.
Nope. Here's a nice, easy one to do.
Oh, David Gannon has become a YouTube member.
Welcome.
I think was there another Toivo? We'll just go in order.
TGV Monster for $5. Culture is healing. Hollywood is irrelevant, and Mark Hamill has stage 4 depression. Don't know what that means, but it's funny. Follow your dreams, everyone.
Did anyone see him in House of Usher?
I did.
I've yet to watch that one.
What did you think of his performance in that?
He was actually really good in House of Usher.
House of Usher is a really good modern example of separate the art from the artist, because he's turned into a twat online. But
I can't stand him online, but he was great. Fantastic in Usher.
He was great. If anyone who wants to see Mark Hamill perform and do a really good performance and just to kind of soothe the fucking your palate of like the stupid fuck he's become online, it is refreshing to
somebody's
see. Like,
coming to arrest Jedi Brooks.
They're coming for me. They're coming for me. Give me a second. I'll be right back. It's all the droid hate. It's all that android hate.
He's up in Canada. He said something bad about Mark Hamill, who's going to be a resident there soon. So
TGV Monster for another $5. I'm just going to say it. Ridley needs to stop making movies. No more Black Goo. No more history movies. Just retire and drink orange juice.
No more Black Goo. Like, we need that on shirts.
That's the one thing I was very happy that did not make its way into Gladiator 2. There is no Prometheus tie-in in this movie, which is a big mark in its favor.
It's not a shared universe.
Be in the third one.
We need more black
That would've
goo.
been-
That's it.
Yeah, they open up like the cage, and a xenomorph is the next animal he has to fight.
That's
That would have been
right.
fantastic.
It's the Ridley Scott shared universe.
Yep.
We find out that for some reason, bronze weaponry is not affected by the acid blood.
Marcus
changes the
Aurelius
game
fighting a
completely.
xenomorph. That's how it starts. Like, I know he's dead, but just fuck it. Just go with it.
They literally just dust off. They literally dust off Russell Crowe for it. They try to pretend he's the same exact age.
Don't explain why he's here. Just it's all about the goo.
TGB Monster for $2. Hi everyone, happy Monday. Good seeing you all. Well, good seeing you, sir.
I think that was the same one I almost clicked.
William Shatner mouth for $5. Follow up to the Entwives joke. That joke literally gives you wood.
Oh, here I knew there was another one.
Yes.
Toivo.
Toivo for another $5 fake bucks. I have to go to bed, but we'll listen again on the re-up. P.S. We miss Vex.
Shout out to
She
Vex.
was here and she was bouncing around. In the
She's
chat.
always in the chat.
Her
She's
cat
like
has
literally.
a sick jacket. Fucking sick jacket. I saw that
It is
picture on
the
Twitter.
sick jacket,
Fucking
yeah.
slick as fuck.
Here's one for Platoon specifically.
M8566 for $5. Hey Blutes, Fëanor always gives me Alexander the Great vibes. Thoughts? Is that a good comparison? Or do you think Fëanor is closer to someone else? Tricky one, that. I can kind of see it insofar as they both strive after greatness that sort of belongs only to the gods. Consequently, overreach and disaster unfolds. I don't see many closer similarities than that, though. It's just like very broad brush thematic stuff. But Fëanor, you could make the case that Fëanor is just a lesser reflection of Morgoth himself. It's the same sin that inflicts Fëanor as inflicts Morgoth, that desire for self-honor through acts of creation, which leads to jealousy, which leads to greed, which leads to damnation. That's sort of a recurring theme in the Silmarillion. So and then you can make the comparison between Morgoth and Satan in the same way. So you could say Satan is arguably a closer analog for Fëanor than Alexander the Great is, but then Satan's a great allegory for many things.
Tyler Wolf for a California $7. Tonight I'm seeing some Monday mystery movie that's 140 minutes. Any idea what hasn't been released yet? And it is that long? Isn't it Gladiator? Isn't Gladiator?
That was 2 hours 28 minutes. So what would that
Close
be?
enough.
That would be translated
That's
into no,
148 minutes.
Yeah. My theater started doing that too, where on Mondays you can see a movie that isn't going to be out yet, and you pay like significantly less, but you have no idea what you're seeing.
Bush McFadden. Hello, Platoon and friends. Chat. Love you guys. Thank you, Boosh.
Hello.
I actually had a really quick question I forgot to ask earlier during the when we were discussing everything. It was for Kurtosis and Platoon mainly. Just superficially, what did you think of Warwick's pretty much like introduction, like the song that they did for him and everything? Like, did that work for you, or were you just out at that point?
I wasn't paying attention to the music. I was like super focused on what was going on, and what was going on was bugging the fuck out of me.
Yeah, it's distracting. It's distracting at that. Wonder how distracted you were at that point.
Yeah, I know we're not getting into spoilers, but the whole like blood rage thing frustrates me because you're in a city. People are going to be bleeding everywhere. Come on.
But the one thing is they did activate something, a singe on his hand, so it was specifically locating him to him. It wasn't just random blood. We see two different reactions.
Oh, but it is random blood later, isn't it?
No. We see from Singe's one, he activates it, and we see a mechanical reaction from Warwick, and his eyes light up. With Vi, or the other bleed that we have,
spider.
Well, it's not much, but it's basically we see two different types of reaction to blood, and one is like a mechanical, actual like summoning, like yeah, you know what I'm saying. But
Okay,
I was just gonna say, like, I was fucking livid at the time skip but then Warwick kind of at least got my attention back just from an entertainment standpoint. I did like the fucking heavy metal, like werewolf and heavy metal. Just you can't really go wrong with those two things together if it's fucking fun. But yeah, I feel you.
Boosh for $5. Do you know why Disney keeps messing up Star Wars? Force a habit.
Oh God.
Dojo?
At least
I
he
see
answered
what
the
you did
question
there.
for himself, so that way we didn't have to have a 25-minute debate as to what the root cause of the problem is.
We started on that. Look at my name. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole that you can have a 10-hour discussion and not even come up with the proper
No,
root
you
cause.
can have a 5-year discussion like we've
Yeah.
pretty much been doing online. Like,
Didn't they pull another movie just a few days ago, the 2026
The Ray
one?
movie. Yeah.
Ray,
Yep.
Ray.
How funny. Frank Dunesbert for $5 Can you guys give Dune Prophecy episodes 1 and 2 a review next week?
We can add it to the list.
Yeah,
Well-
I guess so. It's on my list of things to check out.
All duned out after the second movie. I wasn't a big fan of it.
Wait, the Dune show is out that fast?
Yeah, well, they've been talking about it for a while.
Oh, I had no
I mean,
idea.
at minimum, if it doesn't make next week's cut, it would make the following week, just with more episodes to talk about. So it will be discussed because there's just so many shows going on right now that it's a matter of if we can weave it. But all of them will be discussed at some point.
I think part of it will depend like what there is to say about it as well. Because if it's just a bland nothing, then what's the point? But if it's an interesting show, which it might be, but like it's based, as I understand it, it's based not on anything Frank Herbert wrote. It's his son Brian Herbert who wrote the bit that this is cribbing from, and Brian Herbert is generally understood not to be great. So it's not like, you know, it's not Dune. It's kind of Dune after Dune should have ended Dune, which is taking inspiration from. But it might be interesting. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll make a bold prediction. You're gonna watch Penguin, and that's gonna be put on the fucking back burner queue. That's gonna be a priority in terms of discussion for sure. Especially since there's like several spoiler-worthy elements of the finale. The finale is absolutely nailed. That's one thing that's my biggest selling point for the Penguin. The fact that it's finished. It's not just like, oh, you should check it out. No, it's they fucking nailed it. And I guarantee that's what you're going to be discussing over fucking more Dune. Like, I bet that'll be prioritized. Bold prediction here.
Boosh again with another one. I think this one's better than the previous one.
Do you know why Disney bought Fox? So they can control predators.
Yeah, that's better. I like that one.
That's a better one. James Busher for $2 with a woo. Well, woo back to you, James.
The Shaka.
Trench coat, one sword for $2. Well, they don't call him LeBron James. Yeah, that is true. LeBron.
That was the weirdest subtopic we've done in a while.
He mentioned Steph Curry. I don't know how we got to LeBron, but it just happened.
Yeah. 427 Arbok for $5. Pretty sure syphilis itself would be anachronistic, named or not, since I'm pretty sure it came from the New World.
But you're telling me it's an American invention? Americans gave us syphilis?
We invented syphilis because we're just that fucking awesome, apparently. Also, Brooks, you were the one who brought up LeBron James because you went Steph Curry, then you mentioned Del Curry.
Yeah, he mentioned Steph Curry.
Then you mentioned
LeBron.
Then we made fun of Bronny. Oh yeah.
And you made fun of Bronny, and then you got to LeBron.
There are two basketball players. One of them has a son who's like all-time great, and one of them has a son who sucks and has a shitty name.
Who's all-time shit. Yeah.
Named Bronny. Like, that's your problem, bro. Get a new name.
Poor guy. David Gannon for $5. Hail panel. Arrivo is emblematic of everything wrong in Hollywood today. Everything is about her.
That's
who is that?
That's Elphaba from Wicked.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the one who was mad about her about a fan edit of a picture of her that wasn't even offensive.
Yeah, she had to apologize about that as well.
I mean, there's a few different versions of being all about yourself, but she's probably one of the worst versions, which is that like anything that takes away from her immediately is, you know, this hyper offensive. I'm gonna try to ride the whatever the ism that people are supposed to be angry about right now is.
Yeah, that's kind of how her initial reaction seemed. It was also bizarre too, because it's like my eyes tell the tale of what I'm doing as an actor. Is what I'm trying to tell you. Is like you weren't giving us anything. You were dead
Her
staring
eyes
at
are like
fucking. Yeah, like what were you even fucking doing? You were dead
I could
staring
do
at
this
the
for a whole
screen.
show.
That just shows how out of touch they are. Like, and you know, she can't come up with that horse shit by herself. She must have heard that from so many other people to where she believed their own bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
I wish I had it.
Say something that ridiculous.
Well, I'm gonna pull it up after. I'll do the next one. I'm gonna pull up Stupenzo's. He did an edit of the poster. I'll pull it up as you guys do this.
Magnum Norris for $10. Gladiator is a top 5 film for me, so Gladiator deuce. I think I'd rather drop a deuce. Are you not entertained? Again, please, Ridley, give us some more corn in your shit. Tell us how you really feel, Magnum.
God damn.
Yeah, he's
Right
determined
on.
to ruin his reputation, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's probably gonna actually take me longer to find than I realized.
He does kind of remind me of that bit in the first movie when, like, it's symbolic that Maximus goes through the arena and he's basically cutting through all of these fancy myths that Romans tell themselves about themselves, right? So, like, Rome is decadent, it's lost its moral virtue, and all it has is past glories to trade on. And so, emblematic of that is this moment when, to try and head off the threat that Maximus and his rising popularity is posing to him, Commodus summons this old gladiator out of retirement, and he's been 5 years in retirement, and he's obviously too old. But because he's never lost a fight, he's famous for being undefeated. They just think, well, he's got a great reputation, so we'll throw him in and the job will be done. And that's kind of like, it's Ridley Scott and generally old directors who keep coming back to revisit their stuff. There's no new vitality and there's nothing new being made and there's no one coming up to replace them. So they keep wheeling out these decrepit old fuckwits who should have retired and been allowed to live out their days on a farm somewhere. That's what Ridley Scott should be doing, not this movie, and then planning a third one, which I'm sure will be the same film again. So yeah, just put him out to pasture already.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Magnum for another $5 says Ridley is great. He just needs to untard the retard. Again, my job for California, $5. Off-topic question for the panel: who would you rather get a buggering night out with, Baron Harkonnen or Buffalo Bill?
Does Baron Harkonnen ever even leave his little weird mud puddle thing?
So you'd have to be going there.
Yeah, like you don't
hang out with him there.
Oh, because he can fly.
Yeah, I could actually escape Buffalo Bill, so fuck that, Baron Harkonnen. Like,
I have really crappy like dry skin, so he wouldn't. Buffalo Bill wouldn't even hang out with me.
Don't you hurt my dog!
What if someone just asked Brooks, why don't you like Dune 2? All the villains got fucking wasted and embarrassed. They wouldn't explain anything in terms of the worm. Like, how do they get off those worms? How does it stop? Did they all just like hit a break? Like, it's just they just cut. Like, I'm tired of it. I don't know. If visually there were some beautiful shots, but in terms of the story, I just didn't care. Like, there's so many. I don't know. There's just a lot of premises they introduced that they didn't really flesh out. And this is the type of series that should be doing that. Grounded sci-fi. If you're just showing me a bunch of cool visuals and expect me to be impressed with that, that's not enough. So there's my answer.
I'm just disappointed that Dark Hour said he had really dry skin, so Buffalo Bill wouldn't like him, and nobody said, well, put the lotion on it then. That's what you do. It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. You won't have dry skin.
No matter how much lotion I use.
Yeah, we all missed that.
Put the lotion in the fucking basket.
Mm-hmm.
David Gannon.
And here is the history of syphilis, apparently, again.
Oh, boy.
Why have we been talking about syphilis all night?
David Gannon via Wikipedia. In history, inhabitants of today's Italy, Germany, and the United Kingdom named syphilis the French disease. The French named it the Neapolitan disease. The Russians assigned the name of Polish disease, etc., not from the U.S.
Okay.
I learned that in my doctor's office. Thank you very much.
And that was the last one. I wasn't able to find that the edit that Stupenza did. I'll have it dialed up for next week, though, because it'll be more relevant anyway. So I'll make sure I have that dialed up for next week for the slides. It was funny. That's all you need to know.
Well, so that's it for the old super chats, is it?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I had like smaller topics, but they are kind of irrelevant. Like I don't have a feeling if anybody had even seen the Cobra Kai or the fact that The Rock's latest movie has been a horrible flop. Those are our backup topics. But
how big of a flop?
Like a $250 million open to $30 million flop. Kind of
Ooh, you think he's done? It's all downhill from here.
Well, he's coming back for WrestleMania 41. So.
Fucking hell, man! What are they doing, man? Well, you know what? There's a
guy. I tell you.
Did you watch the Vince McMahon documentary?
Yeah, well, actually, and for people who are initiated, it actually wasn't really that like interesting. It was good for the uninitiated.
Who? What are we talking about here?
Like people that Vince don't McMahon. Know about wrestling. Yeah.
Oh, well, filling in the gap.
Most people have heard those stories already.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are gonna hear it's not gonna be that shocking, but even for hardcores, I bet you didn't know the details that they showed about his like father and like the family life and everything. I didn't know anything.
I did know that. I actually learned that from I learned that from a YouTuber documentary because YouTubers generally do a better job.
They do. Can you actually recommend one? Because I kind of felt
I can recommend you a bunch. There's like a 3-hour Vince McMahon documentary that someone made on YouTube that's like way fucking better than the one on Netflix.
I'm definitely doing it up because I don't watch wrestling anymore, but the Attitude Era is like that's my childhood right there. One of the most crazy things that's ever fucking happened, and
Vince McMahon's life
to look into.
Vince McMahon's life, if somebody tried to write that as a fictional story and hand it in, they would send it back saying it was completely unrealistic. Please rewrite.
Madness. Madness. He's such a the WC. He taught me everything about business, pretty much. The WCW versus WWF Monday Night Wars things.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
It's fascinating, man, to live through that, to understand that two companies fighting is great for the fans. Because I'm like, you guys said all that. I got more wrestling for me on a Monday night, and it's
for
very
sure.
fascinating to be able to learn as a little kid.
Yeah, you had a couple peak eras back to back just because of the nature of competition. Like it brought out the best of both companies, and fans were the ones that really, I remember reveling. I was like 9 years old, just thought it was the shit.
There's so much to learn from.
Mm-hmm. And just going back and forth between like WCW and WWF on Monday nights, flipping the channels back and forth.
I remember those days, man. My biggest criticism of the documentary is that they didn't mention Mankind and China. Those are the two ones.
What a weird couple things to omit. They're super important. Really, big important parts of that company. But yeah, so The Rock's movie bombed, basically. What a shocker. It's not very surprising. Yeah.
Is that the one where he said like he booked the same ticket for the IMAX theater that what's his name does for Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
He sat there and he thought, oh yeah, with this, is it his film called Red Hour?
Game over.
Red One. What the fuck? Yeah.
I mean, I could sum it up for you. Basically, Santa Claus gets kidnapped and they form, they get the Avengers together.
They stole that from South Park. South Park did it. It's Red Sleigh Down. They just stole that. I saw the advert for that the other day. I just didn't make the connection. How the fuck did he think that would be game over at the IMAX theater? What?
Because it was him and Chris Evans teaming up. That was his thought process because everyone knows Chris Evans is this huge
box office draw.
Yeah, he's had all these great successes outside of the MCU. So
it's so funny that these people who star in like these major intellectual properties somehow think that it's their name that draws in the crowd and not the name of the character. Like, yes, you were in the Avengers and you were Captain America. It does not mean that each movie you're going to make is going to be like a $3 billion hit. That's fucking crazy.
Doesn't work.
I mean, if it didn't work for Robert Downey Jr. when he tried to do Doolittle.
Yeah, right. Yeah. These famous characters, they're not like celebrities. They're not there for you anymore. Like there's like one action star left, like Tom Cruise, and it's because
even that can bomb. Like he's had some serious bombs.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? The most recent Mission Impossible. The Day of Reckoning. They underperformed horribly.
No, the age of people going to see things because a particular actor is in it is very, very. I don't want to say over, but it's not as prominent anymore. Because there's still some people.
Tom Cruise only has that. Tom Cruise only has that because it's like, what the hell is this crazy person gonna do? Oh, yeah, Dead Reckoning. Sorry. what the hell is this crazy guy gonna do next? What's he gonna jump off of and light on fire?
Yeah.
And
He's got an appeal outside of the fact, like, there's a reason to see a Tom Cruise movie just strictly because it's Tom Cruise, because there's so many other details he's probably gonna nail. How many other people have that? It's strictly based on their talent now. Like, I think one of the best current actors is James McAvoy, but I don't think he gets great projects or opportunities. I think, but I'm always excited to see that he's like in a movie because I know he's going to perform.
Yeah, he'll elevate a
J.K.
movie.
Simmons, another one. Yeah, the people there's actors that can elevate a movie, but I'm not going to watch it just because they're there. I still need a premise,
Yeah. I think the idea of celebrity has definitely changed. Authenticity is key now. So like the big time celebrity isn't a movie star or anything anymore. It's like it literally is like Donald Trump or Joe Rogan or something. Those are the big time celebrities.
Oh, you think I'm a big celebrity?
I know you are, man. Podcast.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's social media. We've all talked about this on different podcasts probably, but social media has destroyed the movie star and their mystique has gone, and it's in many other industries. There's a very few actors, rappers, any type of approach you could think of that have maintained their mystique. I think Denzel is one, Eminem is another. Like, people that understand they have to, like, you can't be on social media like Mark Hamill, like making a fool out of yourself. You have to maintain.
Got to be a Keanu.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves that's an even different one where he doesn't need any. There's no mystique he needs to maintain. He's just actually a cool person. And that's hard to be able to do. So
he's just on the New York subway, just giving away his seat. That's what he does.
Just being a gentleman. Well, anything else, gentlemen, before we get out of here?
Only thing I've seen, I think the Video Game Awards nominations are out, and the only funny thing I found from that is that Star Wars Outlaws has been nominated for the best action adventure game. So I will preempt the news cycle in however long it takes for these awards to be concluded and say that Star Wars Outlaws did not win the award for best action adventure game. Good luck. I don't even know why the fuck they thought it would, but
well, I guess that wraps it up for this week of BSUP. I'd like to thank our guests. Let's start with Kretosis. This was your first venture on to BSUP, so thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Where can we find you next, sir?
Thank you for inviting me on. I had a great time. My channel is just Kretosis, and I do videos over there talking typically about video games, but sometimes movies and TV shows too. So
links for everything is always will be in the description as always, so you can check out Kretosis' channel. I checked it out earlier today too, and I think I caught myself watching for like 45 minutes. That's just
thank you.
So a drop in the bucket, if you will.
Yeah, just a little drop in the bucket. So, I'm like, and Mr. Jedi Brooks, thanks for coming on again, man. Really appreciate you. What are you up to next?
I got one more fucking Rings of Power video to finish. Script's all done. I just got to get through the editing just to be able to wrap up the trilogy I made. I'm about to hit 50K, so I'm gonna do a Q&A for that and probably do a little bit of streaming. I'm planning on streaming the entire Resident Evil series. Hopefully I can stick to it if I'm super enjoying it, because it's one of the ones I feel like if I'm gonna go back and check out an old series, that's one of the ones to do, and then maybe Dark Souls afterwards. And I have a big ass fucking MCU video. I've had this video. I've been working on this video before I met most of the people on this panel. So
I can attest. I restreamed the first time you and me streamed together, and you were mentioning this exact video in that, and that was over a year ago.
Proof. Yeah, there you go. So
how long is it?
It's just over 90 minutes, and the top 5 wasted MCU characters in full detail. So pretty much each one is like a video in itself. So really go ham if you're a Marvel fan. You'll definitely be enjoyable.
I'm looking forward to that. Sounds good.
Can you tell us which one of the characters? Just tell us one. You don't got to go through all 5.
I asked my friend. He's the only person in the world who's seen it, and his favorite was my breakdown of the destruction of Thor's character.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I
can agree with that they really they screwed the pooch on that one. I'm not sure if that's your number one, but that's definitely one of them.
We'll wait for the video and we'll see. And a shout out to Metals Forge. I was on there with him, Mark the Cyborg, and Goger, and we broke down Arcane, Arc 1 and Arc 2, like pretty much the same type of detail that we went on at the beginning here. So you can check that out if anyone wants more Arcane discussion.
And Darko, what are you doing?
Well, actually, now that I may have changed my mind. I was originally going to do Gladiator, but if it's literally the exact same movie, I'm not sure how much I could pull out of a review. That may have just changed me over to Wicked, which is funny because I've seen the musical, so I can probably write that most of the review now if I wanted to about the plot. But other than that, I don't really have much else in terms of reviews going on. I have been re-releasing or restreaming all of the Two-Hos. Today was actually one that had both Platoon and Jedi Brooks on it, just to get them back onto my channel, because we used to have two channels. It used to be me and Uninspired would split, kind of how BSUP used to do. And we stopped doing that, so there's no point in not having them on my channel anymore. So I'm restreaming them, allowing people who, because I've gained about 10,000 subscribers since I started that show. A lot of people didn't see those early ones, so they're getting a chance to rewatch them or experience them for the first time. And it's fun because I'll sit in the chat for a little while, talk to people about it, and that's a thing that I'm doing right now, just as a holdover until the 2020, 2025 is going to be huge, I think, for a lot of people. But even this the show, what is it, the Skeleton Crew? I actually have a couple things dialed up for that already in terms of jokes I thought of already. So. And yes, there will be ads. There's always ads.
Of course. So. Indeed. That sounds good. And Platoon, what are you doing next?
It's probably going to be Well, I don't know. It depends. There's a Gladiator thing being worked on at the moment. I need to finish the script for that. And so it's whether or not I take on a big chunk of the edit for that, in which case it's out faster, or I leave that all to my editor so I can immediately give all my attention to Arcane, in which case there'll be 2 videos, but out more slowly. I don't know. One of the 2 things will happen. Gladiator should come out first, though, so I would expect that in the next week or so.
I believe you. I believe that you'll release the content. I swear to God, I have videos coming out. I've been saying that for like 3 weeks straight. At some point, I'll release content again. So that's what I'm up to.
Stop moving, bro.
Yeah, I know. I just moved 1,300 miles away, so that's what I've been up to. As you can see, the office is different, and the camera's a piece of shit, and yada yada. So,
by the way, Cynic lied to me. He said he was going to stop in Jersey on his way up to Maine, and he didn't.
I know. When I was passing the sign, I was like, but I was running late. I didn't even get in until like 10 o'clock at night. I drove like 21 fucking hours. It sucked ass. It was absolute ass. But yeah, that does it for BSUP episode 47. We are going to see you all next week. Thank you so much for the chat. Thank you for the super chats, everyone. And for everyone who sticks through all the way and listens to everything we ramble about. Really appreciate you all. But yeah, that does it for this week. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.